We'll get you updated on injuries next.
Honey, what's an 8-letter word for difficult to explain?
When we planned on retiring, we never planned on Medicare being so confusing.
What's a 6-letter word for special skills or knowledge?
Fortunately, Farm Bureau Health Plans is an expert on all things Medicare. With 75 years of helping Tennesseans, they helped us understand our Medicare options.
Why are these things so complicated?
Talk to your local representative or visit fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
Good morning. It's Rhett Bryan with your Titans report presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. The Titans are about to walk out on the practice field in a little while at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for one more practice before they have a walkthrough tomorrow and prepare to play the New York Football Giants on Sunday. Here are your latest injury reports. Cornerbacks Lonnie Johnson and Elijah Molden both have not practiced this week due to groin injuries. Linebacker Chance Campbell with a knee limited participation on Wednesday did not practice yesterday. Lineman Jamarco Jones with a triceps injury, limited participation both Wednesday and Thursday, and Ola Adeni has popped up on the list with a neck injury, limited participation yesterday. That's one to definitely keep an eye on. The Titans take on the New York Giants this Sunday, and kick off with Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis happen at 3:25.
Love him.
I've always been impressed the way you attack over our football team.
Or hate him.
Well, I want to talk about how bad you guys are.
If it's Titans talk you're looking for, he's your guy. It's the Buck Reising Show.
Powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
On 104.5 The Zone.
You ready, Mace? Party people in the place to be. It's about that time for us to. Yeah.
Football Friday. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Hope you're feeling right, living well. We certainly are. We're here with you until 1 o'clock. We being Brett Batchelor, who's back there making it happen. Lucas is in the studio, somehow wormed his way in here. I am also here. I will not be here for very long today, but I will be here for the time being, and we're happy to have you alongside for the ride. 615-737-1045. Jump in if you like. There was a football game last night, kids. We got actual football to talk about. Not terribly good football, to be honest with you. I was really only hoping for a competitive game between the Bills and the Rams, but I did not get my wish. I was, summarily smacked in the face because I think I made the argument for the Bills being favored in Los Angeles being kind of silly to me, and of course they won by 21 points. So what the hell do I know? We won.
It's a good start.
We're back.
Fun first quarter.
Well, that's true, and I think, I think the threat of Stafford and Kupp at any moment kept me engaged in that game longer than I probably would have been under normal circumstances. Like had that been a part of a noon slate on a Sunday in week 7, I would not have ridden it out as long as I did. But it's the only game on. It's the first game of the year, so you're going to watch it through in its entirety. And, of course, obviously, since the Titans will travel to Buffalo for Monday Night Football in Week 2, was focused primarily on the Bills side of things, but I could not help noticing how terrible the Rams look. My God. I was shocked. Outside of Aaron Donald, who was certainly active, but I thought Buffalo had a good plan for him. Outside of that ridiculous Cooper Kupp touchdown reception where not only did he get 2 feet down, but he got the third step in for good measure in ways that, I don't even know how you move your feet that quickly.
Oh, my goodness.
As he was drifting out of the back of the end zone. It's one of the, he's a bit of a wonder to watch, Cooper Kupp is. But beyond that, the Rams secondary was terrible. Jalen Ramsey got cooked. What happened to him?
Well, he was talking to Stephon Diggs on the one.
So was Diggs.
I don't know if you could call it a pass breakup. It didn't look like Ramsey got a touch to it. I guess he was in the mix there in the end zone when Allen probably could have run it in, and he decided to sort of pop it up to Diggs. And Ramsey's chit-chatting, and Diggs is doing that close signal, and then Diggs just toasted him.
Oh, my God. It's the lasting memory of Jalen Ramsey from last season was Tom Brady beating him over the top, even though the Rams did advance past the Buccaneers to end up going to the NFC Championship game. And then Stephon Diggs and, Gabriel Davis, number 6, McKenzie, they were just out there giving the Rams secondary the business.
Even Jamison Crowder with some catches.
Well, and Josh Allen. And here's the thing, okay? Because I'm not going to spend 4 months telling you all how wonky week 1 results are and then make grand statements about the Bills or the Rams today, because I'm still running it through that prism. You'll see a lot of people overreacting to what happened with Buffalo, see a lot of people drooling over Josh Allen. But I will say to you this. I have had the privilege to cover Derrick Henry's entire career here. As a football consumer, what Derrick does on a field of play is among my favorite things in the sport to watch. And I've had the privilege to see every game of it. I have also been able to see Josh Allen live several times. And I think that Josh Allen in football is my favorite thing to watch. Like this, it's not a final evolution. Whatever this evolution of him is, where he is stiff-arming the holy hell out of Rams secondary players for a 3rd and 7 conversion, where he's pump faking in the red zone and just decides, I'm going to take it myself, and you're going to try and stop me, you tiny little linebacker at the goal line, but I'm just going to reach my giant arm out, break the plane, and score a touchdown anyway because I can. They need to find a more balanced way to do it, and honestly, even though he's a giant human being and he's physically durable, like, I want to see them move away from that if Josh Allen is to sustain this all year long, because the biggest issue for Buffalo, I thought, in 2021 was just how dependent they were on him solely, whether it was his legs or his arm to move the football. And what I saw in a 1-week sample size, we'll see how it translates against a better run defense that the Titans most certainly are, or at least were when last we saw them. Their new look offensive line, including Roger Saffold, who was down on the knee with a helmet off, and immediately, Lucas, you and I talked about this morning, when Chris Collinsworth said, there's a Bills offensive lineman down on the field, I looked to nobody. Nobody was around me. I was watching this game by myself, and I said out loud, it's probably Roger.
Yep.
And there he was.
Yep. He finished the game.
Yeah, and he played well.
And they ran the ball well. The Bills did. Allen was their lead rusher. By the way, Chris Collinsworth and you both gushing over Josh Allen on Thursday night.
Okay, but I am doing it differently than Chris is. I am saying I am still, I'm not crowning the Bills just because they went out there and demolished the defending Super Bowl champions. I thought Chris Collinsworth and Tirico were a little bit slurpy for my taste.
They were extremely, yes.
Not everybody is an outstanding player. Not everybody is, the best. They're one of the best at their positions. It's okay. They're excited too. It's week 1 for them too. They're, Chris and Michael settle in a little bit. But I did not. I ended up listening more to the Rams broadcast on Sirius XM because I really like their play-by-play guy.
Long, right? JB Long?
No, I believe it's Brandon Taylor. You may fact check me on that.
I'm thinking Rams radio.
So I ended up turning off the television broadcast because for some reason something about it just wasn't working for me last night. And that's nothing against those guys. They're consummate professionals, but I don't know why it didn't jive with how I wanted to watch the game. So I ended up listening to it on Sirius XM and watching it. And the way that the thing that stood out to me the most is that Buffalo didn't blitz Stafford once and they sacked him 7 times. They did not send an extra defender once, and they absolutely torched that offensive line. Now, I don't know how much of that is because Andrew Whitworth is not there to protect Stafford's blind side anymore. I don't know how much better Von Miller makes them. Again, it's a 1-game sample size. Let's not get nuts. But I didn't mean to interrupt you when I said that my gushing over Josh Allen is a little bit different than Chris Collinsworth because I think that there's still some things where they may be vulnerable.
He was excellent. 5 incompletions, 2 of them interceptions, one of them that was not his fault whatsoever. But yeah, and the Rams just could not run the ball at all. Averaged 2.9 yards per carry. And they obviously got to a point where running the football wasn't even part of the equation when they were down 21 in the second half. But even from the jump, Cam Akers fantasy owners are having a rough day. It was just a bad day for the Rams offensive line and a very good day for the Bills O-line.
Peter Fairbank on Zone TV. By the way, you can jump in on the phone lines. I think I gave out the phone number. I can't remember. 615-737-1045 is how you do that. We'll talk Titans and Giants, of course, today. Coach Mack will be here. My friend Madeline Burke, who covers the Giants, will be here as well at the bottom of the hour, and we'll get the opposition preview, as is the custom. But Peter Fairbank on Zone TV, he is on Facebook Live today. You can watch Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, however you choose to consume us. Peter says Mariota's stiff arm on Barry Church was better than what Josh Allen did to number 33 on the Rams. Do you agree with this statement, or is this just blind homerism by Peter?
Well, the Mariota stiff arm literally got the Titans a playoff spot. So as far as significance goes, Mariota has the upper hand. Physically,
stakes were moved.
Well, yes. I also don't know what's more impressive physically because Marcus Mariota is not a guy that you know to be capable to do that. I don't think anybody was extremely shocked that Josh Allen is capable of stiff-arming a defender over the sideline.
Does he do it often, though? I mean, I guess quarterbacks don't do it often.
That's just who he is. He's a big, physical, powerful runner with a rocket arm. Mariota wasn't that. I mean, he was a runner, but not in the way that Josh Allen is. So I don't know. I might actually side with that. I might give it to Mariota because of the stakes of the moment, and that was just something you did not expect him to pull out of his toolkit.
Oh, because he stared Barry Church down afterwards.
Especially because of that.
That was. I think that's what said it. Now, Josh Allen was obviously jawing at Rams defenders, and you could see, like, Sean McDermott. I know he's a former wrestler, so like he's going to be a bit of a meathead anyway, as many of these NFL coaches are. But just how much more meathead juiced he got when Josh Allen stiff-armed the defender. Brett, what are you shaking your phone at me for? Just talk to me.
Lamar Jackson contract update.
Oh, okay. Well, that's important.
Breaking sports news on 104.5 The Zone.
What are you shaking your phone at me for?
What's the news?
Lamar Jackson has decided to turn down the Baltimore Ravens' last contract offer and will play this season on his own deal and then make a decision next year.
Wow.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
He will make $23 million this season and is expected to be franchise tagged after this season. I want to know what they offered him.
I do too. Now, because he's said there have been some numbers floated out there, and he's denied that those were the offers on the table. Thank you for that, Brett. Like I said, either just talk to me in my ear or just interrupt me. Like, you don't have to.
I got you.
You don't have to flag me down. It's okay. This is a learning process.
No,
for all of us.
I like the furiously shaking phone from across the glass. I prefer that.
Yeah, well, you do that to me too.
I
you just
also
wave
do
your
that.
phone at me violently.
I very much do that. But Lamar MVP incoming?
Well, the Titans gave out a really nice contract for one of their stud defensive players this morning as well. So why don't we react to the Lamar Jackson contract news? We'll talk about the deal that Amani Hooker got and what that means for Jeff Simmons, David Long, Nate Davis as a part of that 2019 class. We'll break down some Titans and Giants. How about that? That's next.
Nashville's best option for sports for your drive home. And the only option for that matter. The 3HL with Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. Today starting at 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
If you are a business owner, you know how rewarding it can be. Owning a business is a wonderful thing, but it also comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility. As somebody who has worked for a small business, small local company that is growing exponentially, but still you understand all the different ins and outs that you may not be aware of, because this is something that can sneak up on you from time to time if you're not double checking exactly what you need to be. That's why you need to use the people that I trust, Forsyth and Hilarios. One responsibility that simply cannot be overlooked is your business's accounting and taxes. You can check that job off your list by using Forsyth and Hilario CPAs. Their goal is to allow you to focus on what you're passionate about. That's your business's development. Forsyth and Hilario CPAs provide advisory, tax, and accounting expertise so you can do what you do best, grow your business. Visit CPAForsyth.com today. That's CPAForsyth.com.
Kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code HUNK to get in on all the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. If it's me, I'm taking that $150 in free bets. We'll go ahead and put it down on that money line for the Titans to win. But it doesn't matter which game you choose, you can play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards and even catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday with a same game parlay. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose. Just go and use promo code HUNK, H-U-N-K. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and up in present Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
If you filed a tax extension in April, don't wait until it's too late to handle your tax issues. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. Every year, thousands of Tennesseans file extensions when their taxes are due in April. But what people don't know is the extension only moves your deadline to file your return, not to pay your taxes. So if you didn't pay anything back in April, you could now owe taxes plus interest plus penalties. You think you bought yourself time, but really you've just added to the total bill. If this sounds like you, call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I am a local tax attorney with an A+ BBB rating, and I will meet with you right away to help handle your tax problems quickly. The deadline to file your return after an extension has already passed, so call the Lance Drury Law Firm now before it's too late. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 615-733-8168, or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
From Nashville to Knoxville and all around the country, Superbook Sports is your place to wager this football season. You don't need to be at the game to enjoy all the football this fall. Right now, you can download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start placing your bets today. They've got lines up for every pro football game for the rest of the season. Plus, which team will win the title, who your MVP is, and who will surprise in the SEC. You can wager on football and every other major sport in the Superbook Sports app. So, bring Vegas to the palm of your hand, and Superbook will match 100% of your first bet up to $1,000 no matter if the bet wins or loses. Get in on the action right now with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, this is Dawn Davenport. Mark Spain Real Estate was named the #1 real estate company in the U.S. for closed transactions by the Wall Street Journal. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home. No obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com. Start packing.
Visit Shane Company to see the largest selection of natural rubies and sapphires in town. Choose from blue, yellow, green, and trending pastel-colored sapphires. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and Shaneco.com.
Mike Keith here for Middle Tennessee's Best in Business Award program. If you're busy like me, trying to identify a reputable business or professional for a particular need can sometimes be a hassle, not to mention time-consuming. That's why I let Best in Business Award do that research for me. For a complete listing of their Middle Tennessee recipients, visit them online today at bestinbusinessaward.com. You know, I've called some unbelievable plays in my broadcasting career, but finding the right business or professional that will live up to their claims and provide top-notch customer service doesn't have to be an unbelievable task. Best in Business Award is a great resource to help you with those important decisions, and they'll help you make the right call.
That's right, Mike. And some of those all-pro recipients you referenced include Brentwood Jewelry, Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center, H.E. Palmer Roofing, Lithographics, Room in the Inn, Sarah Cannon, the Cancer Institute of HCA Healthcare, and 104.5 The Zone. So visit them online at bestinbusinessaward.com and tell them Blaine Bishop sent you.
Is your company hiring? We can help. Invest in your workforce at tnjobfair.com.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Something going on, something going wrong. Something went wrong for the Rams last night. We'll see if the Titans can do a little better when they host the Giants here in Nashville. 3:25 the kickoff. Titans, or rather the Lee Company countdown to the kickoff begins at noon with Blaine Bishop, Mickey Ryan, myself. We're looking forward to hanging out with all of you guys for 2 hours before kick. And then, you know, of course, I'll be in there to cover the game. And I think Mickey was in there with me for the preseason. I hope he sticks around because he's not doing postgame anymore. So he can actually chill out and watch the game.
Actually go to the game.
Yeah. And Blaine's out there checking to make sure everybody's socks are in proper order so they can avoid fines from the league. And Blaine cracks me up out there, man. He's the best. Speaking of the Giants, Lucas has an update from Jordan Renan, the ESPN Giants reporter, regarding two of the young defenders that have been in question for New York all week long.
Yeah, Renan, the ESPN NFL Nation reporter that covers the Giants, says that the two edge rushers that have been limited in practice all week for New York are both up in the air for Sunday's game. Kayvon Thibodeau with a knee, Azeez Ojulari with a calf. Brian Daboll saying that they're going to take it right up to game day.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that specifically here in just a second, but the Baltimore Ravens have just put out a statement from general manager Eric DeCosta since Lamar has turned down their contract extension offer. Statement from general manager Eric DeCosta, and this is according to their official Twitter account. Despite best efforts on both sides, we were unable to reach a contract extension with Lamar Jackson. We greatly appreciate how he has handled this process, and we are excited about our team with Lamar leading the way. We will continue to work towards a long-term contract after the season, but for now, we are looking forward to a successful 2022 campaign. So a couple different things here. The deadline for these teams to get these contracts done is today, before the regular season starts. That's why Amani Hooker got a 3-year, $33 million deal, as reported by Ian Rappaport this morning. I'm sure Will and Ramon talked about that.
19.5 guaranteed.
As it broke, and that's a great value for an ascending young player who will get the opportunity to not just, make money now, but get paid again. And the Titans will get a reasonable value on him for the prime of his career. So congratulations to Amani Hooker and his family, his new family, because he's getting ready to have his first kid, as we talked to him about during training camp. So with Lamar specifically, before we get to Amani and before we start to break down the Titans and the Giants, so Joe Flacco did this with the Ravens too. If for those of you who remember, Joe Flacco back in 2011, I think that was the season, or 2012, the season, the Super Bowl that they ended up winning over Colin Kaepernick and the San Francisco 49ers a couple of years ago, where then began the Joe Flacco elite conversation because he had the ring, he had the MVP, and, bleep everybody, he's going to go through the McDonald's drive-thru with his giant new contract because he bet on himself that year and won. Because the conversation was around Flacco was not just, elite or not, and what do you classify as such, but they were trying to figure out whether they wanted to pay him or not. He signed a 6-year, $120.6 million extension with the Ravens after the Super Bowl. He cashed in at the best possible time for Flacco. He went on a Joe Montana-esque run, literally, in the record books in NFL history. 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in a playoff run. It's Joe Flacco and Montana. That he did that, to his credit. He bet on himself. Lamar, too, higher caliber player, certainly more potential, has been a regular season MVP, has not quite had the playoff success that the Ravens had under Flacco, for what that's worth. But I think when you look at the Lamar situation, I don't like the decision by him to play this out. Not because I'm not confident that Lamar's not a tremendous player. Like I talked about Josh Allen earlier, like I've had the opportunity, the good fortune to watch Lamar many times live because the Titans have played him several times. And it's a treat. It's electric. It's unlike anything you've ever seen in the sport, truly. Just the simple risk of injury and what that could mean for him given the way that he plays and coming off a season where he dealt with considerable injury that caused them to finish the year. I believe the Ravens finished last year. Brett, maybe you could look this up for me. 8-9, I believe, was the Ravens' record.
They had more injuries than the Titans. Titans was highlighted more because they were the 1 seed.
Right. I think there was just, so yes, they did have more injuries than the Titans, but they did not end up dressing as many players.
But more injuries at more critical positions than the Titans. All their running backs and their quarterback.
Brett tells me that I'm correct with the 8-9 finish for the Ravens in the regular season with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback and Lamar dealing with, I believe, ankle stuff last year. I respect, athletes are always going to be uber confident in anything that they do. Wildly, irrationally confident. And they have to be. That's a part of their gig. It's just, I hate the idea of what it could mean for him for the same reason that I'm so damn happy Harold Landry got paid when he did, because to lose out on tens of millions of dollars through something that was no fault of your own, a non-contact ACL tear in a Wednesday practice before week 1, that stuff makes me nervous for him. Now, we'll see how Lamar plays this out. They open the season with, who do they open the season? Oh, they have the Jets.
The Jets, who, by the way, Dwayne Brown is out on Sunday and might go on IR, who they signed to replace Mekhi Becton, who's out for the year.
Oh, my God, Mekhi Becton's done for the year.
Jets have big problems at tackle.
Flacco, man. The Flacco revenge game does not look like it's going to bode well. I just hope Joe gets out of there okay at this point. Although the Ravens' defense kind of stinky. They don't have anybody rush the passer this year.
Hey, there's one interesting piece as well for the Lamar Jackson contract talks. the Miami Dolphins are not sure if Tua is going to if they're going to run forward with Tua as their quarterback. Lamar Jackson, who will be a free agent next year, is from Miami, Florida.
And he's been liking, uniform dubs of him in Dolphins uniforms and stuff like that. I mean, listen, you laugh, but the Kyler Murray wiping of the social media, the A.J. Brown taking Tennessee out of his bio.
It's a thing.
This is the game.
It's a thing.
This is the strategy today.
Joel Corey of CBS Sports, former NFL agent, we've had him on the show plenty of times. He tweeted a non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar next March would allow him to solicit an offer sheet from other teams, and the Ravens would receive 2 first-round picks if an offer sheet is not matched. An offer sheet cannot be solicited with the exclusive tag, which is basically a closed negotiation.
We know that he does not have an agent advising him. I'm going to assume that he has some kind of a team around him in the same way that Jeff Simmons has talked about a team. Jeff doesn't have a flat out, Jeff's not a CAA client like Derek or Tannehill or John Robinson or Taylor Lewan. His CAA basically runs the entire sporting and entertainment world for the most part. But I'd be curious what those conversations with Lamar and whomever his brain trust is that's decided, all right, buddy, we're going to ride this thing out, and we're going to break the bank on their necks should you have anything close to what you've been normally producing, because he's the next quarterback to be paid. And if you're the Ravens, the holdup for me, if I was negotiating on behalf of Baltimore, would be Patrick Mahomes got a 10-year deal. I cannot in good conscience give Lamar Jackson a 10-year deal, because I cannot bank quantifiable. And listen, it's almost like coaches and their contracts in college football, where it's more just monopoly money, more so in the NFL, because these things get restructured all the time and the money can be moved around in any variety of ways. But I think the concern for me, if I was Baltimore, would be you're not going to be able to out-athlete Myles Garrett in 10 years from now. You just simply can't. Maybe you end up being the Tom Brady of super versatile mobile quarterbacks, and this has more longevity than any player before us that we've seen. But based on precedent, you are not going to be able to make Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett look inferior on a regular basis as you elude them and throw a touchdown pass over their heads.
10 years from now?
10 years from now.
Well, why do we need to talk about 10 years from now?
Because that's the Mahomes contract.
Yeah, but it's not the Watson contract or the Kyler Murray contract.
What's the Watson contract?
4 years.
But it's fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed, yeah.
That's another hang-up. Does Lamar want fully guaranteed money? Because I think it's just Watson and Cousins that have gotten that. Cousins, I believe, was also a 3-year deal. So that makes more sense. What does Lamar value more? Is it the guaranteed money and a shorter-term deal? Or is it the longevity and the security and, something in the neighborhood of what Mahomes is making, which is $500 million? What's Kyler's contract?
Yeah, I was looking that up just now. I wanted to say it was 6 years. And it was an extension too, right?
I want to, because he's a 19 draft pick.
Yep.
So I would be, and he's the only one of the first rounders in 19, absent A.J. Brown, that has gotten an extension. A.J.'s was a new deal.
Yeah, it was a 5-year contract that he signed with the Cardinals.
A 5-year contract extension.
Over $230 million.
What's the guarantees?
Let's open up Spot Track.
Okay. So, because Kyler is probably the model that the Ravens are looking at with whomever their cap experts are, given the nature of the quarterback. But obviously, Lamar has been wildly more successful than Kyler Murray.
Guaranteed money over $189 million.
Okay. Pretty interesting. In the meantime, let's talk about the contract that the Tennessee Titans gave Amani Hooker this morning. The team did officially announce it about 20 minutes after Ian Rappaport first reported it. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network saying that they had agreed to an extension with the 2019 fourth-round pick. The terms of the deal, as we sit here today, 3-year contract extension worth more than $33 million, sources say. A full-time starter last year, Hooker is on the rise now, and he cashes in. Rap Sheet did later add of Hooker, 24-year-old gets a $10 million signing bonus and a guarantee of $19.5 million as Tennessee beats the Week 1 deadline for a deal. So, Jeff not getting a deal before the deadline at this point. Also worth noting.
Yeah, Dan Graziano did in his Week 1 primer with Jeremy Fowler. He noted that Jeffrey Simmons is someone to keep an eye on in the days leading right up to game day. as far as the contract goes.
Well, we have sent. Well, I wonder if the deadline's 3 p.m. today. Close of business for the league. We'll look that up for you at some point during a break, or perhaps Brett or Lucas could look through that if they're able to find anything in the meantime. But for Hooker, all right, so you get the Hooker deal done. Phrasing. You get the. Oh, thank you for the delayed half snort into the microphone. I got an off mic laugh from Brett, and you not paying attention in a delayed. Jerk. Jeff's still out there. He's going to make north of 20. You know this to be so. And the rest of the 2019 class that's left on your roster, Nate Davis and David Long. Because what I said in reaction to the Hooker news, get Jeff done and be done with it. I am not somebody who is going to stand on the table for Nate Davis or David Long. Even as I like what they've done, I think they're good players. I think they're solid, most certainly. But the reaction that I got to that just kind of, it was by one side of the internet taken as shade towards Nate Davis and David Long, which of course it is not. People are just dumb. Or at least the people that were alleging that. And two, it overvalues a right guard and an inside linebacker in today's game. Now, a team like the Titans that has had a lot of uncertainty on the offensive line, I don't blame people for wanting to default to keep the good players you have, you dope. Don't let these guys walk. Don't have another Jack Conklin. I think there is significant regret among a strong contingent of Titans fans about letting Jack Conklin walk, because he has been hugely beneficial to the Cleveland Browns and their style of play, who also run the ball significantly, even if he's not, an all-world pass protector.
It has more to do, I think, with the failings at right tackle since then.
Sure, that has made it worse. And Raden's not being a factor whatsoever will factor into whether they end up keeping Nate Davis. Nate Davis, though, got his own situation to prove after a down year. His health was a difficult circumstance. He came right off the COVID list into week 1 and did not look himself. He had several concussion instances last year that derailed him. And by the way, I thought he finished the season once he got his situation under control and his body wasn't betraying him. I thought he finished the season quite well. David Long is another one. I went through this with you guys the last 2 years, it feels like. The last 2 off seasons anyway. With Jayon Brown. You can find another inside linebacker on day 3, man. Like, it's just not that deep. David Long is a great story, so is Jayon. And so will whomever it is that comes after them. That doesn't mean that David hasn't been a good player. It doesn't mean that David doesn't deserve to get paid by somebody. It just doesn't have to be you. You can't pay everyone. And I think that's the larger takeaway from me about Hooker. Who are the guys you need to pay out of that class? Hooker and Jeff. Beyond that, all right, let go and let God. And you trust your draft process. If you're the front office, maybe Titans fans feel differently about the trusting of their draft process. But the one thing that you don't have any doubts about John Robinson ever at all is day 3 inside linebackers. Like, he's pretty good at it. And Monty Rice is on the roster. I don't know if Chance Campbell is anything beyond a core special teamer. The Dylan Coles of the world, they'll be out there, and you'll have guys like that end up having to play for you. But the point is, like, don't get so caught up in the familiar faces because you are scared of the unknown. That's not the way that business is done in the NFL. You pay the premium players what they're worth. Amani Hooker is probably worth more than that contract, but they got him at a good price. Jeff Simmons is going to be worth what he's paid as the second most dominant defensive lineman in the sport, not named Aaron Donald.
Hooker is the 14th highest paid safety in the NFL, and that's average annual salary after this extension.
That, and he has been a productive player because he was a role player for them initially, full-time starter last year after they walked. When did they move on from Vaccaro? That was prior to last offseason, wasn't it?
I believe was last season not the first without Kenny Vaccaro?
That might be right. Maybe I'm just getting my the COVID season is such a blur for me. So I think you're right. Last season must have been the first season without Kenny.
Yeah, he played 2020.
Okay. So as far as that's concerned, you have that off your mind. We'll see what happens with Jeff. We'll find out more information about the deadline for you, and we'll talk about the Giants with Madeline Burke here in just a second, who covers the team for the New York media. This matchup, because this is really my only opportunity to talk about it until pregame with Blaine and Mickey. This matchup for me, going back to your tweet from Jordan Renan, read it again for people who may not have heard it as we started the segment.
We'll pull it up, but it was that Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari's status are still up in the air for Sunday's game. Thibodeau with a knee, Ojulari with a calf. Brian Dable saying they're going to take it right up to game day.
Which is what he needs to say to make sure that somebody, somewhere on the Titans coaching staff has to just kind of prepare for the possible threat of the rookie first-round pick, Thibodeau, and one of their more effective rookies last year in Azeez Ojulari.
8 sacks last year.
Yeah, he was nice. And their defensive front was nice. Leonard Williams is still a problem. Here's the thing. What did you say to me when you read that tweet the first time?
I said if the Titans have issues holding up against a depleted Giants pass rush, then there's going to be much deeper issues there in pass protection throughout the rest of the season.
Which, depending on what this game looks like, may end up being so. We may learn a lot about the Titans and what their deficiencies may be. Again, I would say to you, don't make rash assessments off week 1 results, just as people are doing with the Bills and the Rams today.
Yeah, and all of college football.
I would say to you, and I'm pretty sure I said this yesterday on the radio. I know I said it on primetime last night. I expect Nick Petit-Frere to look bad. Like, I just expect him to look bad in this game. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad player. It doesn't mean that he's not the right guy for that job. This is not an easy assignment that he's walking into, no matter. In fact, I honestly think that it will look more complex in the absence of 2 guys that you know are going to straight up win at the line of scrimmage. With Thibodeau, well, we'll see as a rookie. But with Ojulari, you know that he has the tools to be successful. You know that guy can win when you rush him. Now you don't have those guys. So how do you overcompensate, for lack of a better term? What's the thing that Greg Cosell told us about the Giants defense, or Wink Martindale defenses, with 10 years with the Ravens and then 4 years as their defensive coordinator after Dean Pease came to Tennessee?
In short, they basically have 11 pass rushers on the field.
They want all 11 players on defense to be able to rush at any given point. I want to say that it was the Cardinals game. It was a Nick Petit-Frere sack that he gave up. The defender on the edge, I think it was like 97. 97 did the defender in front of Nick Petit-Frere did like a double step and then dropped back into coverage. Nick jumped forward, preparing to block that guy, and then when he dropped back into coverage, 97 came on the rush and sacked Malik Willis. That's in a preseason game. That's low-level stuff. It's not that if Nick plays poorly, he's a bad right tackle. It's not that. It's just that they are going to throw all kinds of crap at a rookie right tackle that they want to confuse. So when you say if they aren't able to pass protect against a defense like this flatly, if these 2 players don't end up playing, I understand the assessment on the front end. I'm sure the vast majority of people listening agree with you. I would say to you, though, it's not ever that black and white. Because what Wink Martindale does, by definition, is operate in the gray area with the amount of different guys that he'll send.
Yeah, it's not that cut and dry, but it also has to do with the lack of evidence that that pass protection will be that much better for the Titans in 2022 than it was in 2021. Like, we don't have anything to have that confidence yet.
Well, I do only in the sense that Lawan being healthy and Nate being healthy and Ben being healthy to start the year gives you the best possible chance to succeed. Aaron Brewer is probably going to get got by Leonard Williams a time or two. Like, he's just, again, the physical size matchup beyond what Aaron Brewer can execute, beyond the athleticism. I don't know if you read Rexroad's piece in The Athletic about Brewer. It was really
really good, yeah. And Rexroad highlighted a lot of the pass protection issues in the last 2 years. So there does need to be a massive jump for them to be even a top half team in the league in pass protection.
But again, they were great in pass protection to start the 2020 season. Lawan goes down in week 5, and everything goes to hell. That's the kind of thing that you need to keep in mind. Really, it's more about how Taylor rebounds. Taylor is one of the most interesting stories throughout the season, not just because of who he is and, he's recognizable and one of the most famous offensive linemen in football, but because it matters to him and his longevity here with the Titans for him to be able to play well. We'll talk about the Giants, and we'll see what Madeline Burke has to say about the status of these 2 young pass rushers for New York. She's coming up next.
Vols are out for a little payback against Pitt in the Johnny Majors Classic for Week 2 of the college football season. Kickoff is tomorrow at 2:30 on Nashville's home for the Vols. 104.5 The Zone.
Hey guys, did you know that having your testosterone check should be a part of your annual routine men's health? I did not know that until I talked to Tennessee Men's Clinic. A lot of guys suffer from low T and don't even have any idea that they are dealing with those effects, but it can work to your detriment in big ways. Your quality of life does not have to decrease due to lower testosterone. If any of this sounds familiar, you feel sluggish, you run down, your libido's been low, you just don't feel like you used to. It could be low T. It's only $99 for a testosterone and PSA test at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and in a matter of minutes, you'll know your numbers. They make it easy for you. And if you're like most men with low T, they can help you get your life back on track fast. They specialize in men's health at Tennessee Men's Clinic and are reinventing men's health care. Prioritizing your health has never been more important. So call them today, 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Are you ready for some football? Who isn't? And there's no better place to kick off the weekend of football than Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Scoreboard is partnering with 104.5 The Zone to kick off the weekend of football. Low Country Boils, the largest selection of bushwhackers, and the best live music in Nashville. Be there every Friday from 3 to 6, hang with the 3HL, and see if you can beat Brennan Slay's picks. This Friday, if your picks are the best, win $250 in gift cards and prizes. Don't forget the Spasmatics every Sunday, 4 till 7. Scoreboard.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and build that papier-mâché volcano.
I am not cleaning this up.
Ooh, yeah, I meant the kids. Staples will help them move forward. Right now, Crayola 10-count markers and 12-count colored pencils are just 99 cents each, and Staples one-subject notebooks are only 35 cents. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 9/10, in-store only, limit 30.
Buck Reising here for my good friend Gary Ashton. Gary's the don't sell without the intel guy, so people ask him all kinds of questions, including what's it like to work in real estate? Well, if you're looking for a great career, I know 3 reasons why you should join the Gary Ashton team as soon as possible. 1, success. The Ashton team was just named the top RE/MAX team, not just in Nashville, but in the entire world. 2, trust. Nashvillians like me trust Gary's team because they live here, they love it here, and they offer careers with unlimited potential. 3, community. They were just recognized as the #1 donation source for the Children's Miracle Network. Bottom line, the Gary Ashton team added 65 new agents last year, and they want you to join the team this year. So don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com.
Tailgate season is the best season, but why make it stressful when you can cater in from Famous Dave's? That's right. Famous Dave's Catering can handle anything from a little bitty gathering to a big old event. Yes, like a football event, making your tailgate delicious, memorable, and stress-free. Famous Dave's offers everything from a full-service catering team to self-service setup, providing everything from the plates to the wet naps to wipe your mouth after the sauce keep dripping. Create your custom catering order today. Order online at famousdaves.com. Famous Dave's, America's favorite barbecue.
The Fight DMD 13th Annual Golf for a Cure event is Friday, September 16th at Greystone Golf Club in Dixon, sponsored by TriStar Bank. There are still a few morning tee times open and sponsorships are available. Golf for a Cure, Friday, September 16th at Greystone Golf Club. For more info, go to fightdmd.com. Special thanks to our sponsors, TriStar Bank, Cornerstone Mechanical, McClure Eye Center, Flow Construction, and thehomeloanexpert.com.
Hi, I'm Darren Ravel. I love spicy cocktails, but there was almost nothing on the market. So I created Kickstand. With flavors like roasted jalapeno cucumber and torched peach chipotle, you can now get your level of heat in a can. 5.5% ABV, 105 calories, no added sugar, and no horrible aftertaste. We're so confident that if you'll try us, you'll buy us. Kickstand Cocktails, real spirits, crushable spice.
Men, at the end of the day, are you wiped out? Your energy's gone. You don't feel or look the way you used to. You've tried diets, fasting, vacations. Nothing sticks. Get back to your youth with Edge Peptide Therapy using their specially formulated Revive package designed to get you feeling like your younger self. Edge is so confident in their peptide therapies, they're offering your first month free when you sign up. Your first month's treatment is free at Edge Peptide. Call 615-724-1878 or go to edgepeptide.com. That's edgepeptide.com.
It's football time in Tennessee, and Gina's Pizzeria has you covered. From their one-of-a-kind wings that range from sweet heat to buffalo with various heat levels to their custom pizzas like their secret menu item, the Chicago Italian Beef Pizza. You cannot go wrong with this one. Order online at Gina'sStonefiredItalian.com and have it ready for pickup right before game time. Gina's Pizzeria, 3046 Columbia Avenue in Franklin in the Target Shopping Center, or order online for in-store pickup at Gina'sStonefiredItalian.com.
Even if you're not a football fan, you're going to love Halftime. Halftime at Window Nation. Right now, score new windows for your home at half the price. Get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy and pay nothing until 2025. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Okay, game week. We finally got one. Thank God. Titans and Giants, 3:25 Central Time, the kickoff. You can hear it right here on your flagship home for Titans Radio, 104.5 The Zone. It's always a great pleasure when I can talk to my friend Madeline Burke, who covers the New York Giants. She's all over the place. She's on NewYorkGiants.com. She's working on WFAN. She is a multi-talented multimedia personality, and she joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Hello, friend.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Anytime we can talk shop outside of the confines of the combine or wherever else that we run into each other, it's always a great pleasure.
Always a great time, and especially when we got, like you said, football that counts coming up. Finally.
Okay, so let's look at this because there's a lot of unknowns, Madeline, for us, at least as outsiders, looking at the Giants, a new coaching staff, a lot of new personnel. You know the players that they have had and how that might fit within a Brian Daboll or Wink Martindale system. But from the perspective of somebody who is in that building and around them every day, what is the thing that you quantifiably know about this team right now before they play their first game?
Oh, gosh. I mean, where to begin with that, right? The new coaching staff has come in, and I think, when you have a whole new overhaul like that with a new coaching staff, a new general manager, a draft class like we saw this year, there are a lot of changes to expect. There are a lot of unknowns, and that's kind of the gift and the curse, right? Because you go into week one and there's not really a lot of tape on what to expect. You can look at what the Bills did last year and say, okay, is this what they're going to try to implement with the Giants this season offensively? But then also you have to remember Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator, who was the Chiefs quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator for the past several years. He is now coming in, bringing a lot of that offense as well. So there's a lot of new wrinkles. It's not going to be the Giants of the last 5 years. That is one thing I can say for sure. There's a lot more, creativity, I would say, on offense and a lot more freedom on offense. And then defensively, I was talking to Julian Love the other day, and he said, this is the first time since he's been in the building that the offense is really trying to dictate rather than react. And, that's a very clear signal and a staple of Wink Martindale's defense coordinating style is saying, hey, we want to be the aggressive ones. We want to come out there and instead of looking at what the offense is doing and reacting to it, we want to make the offense react to us. So how that will play out, how it will execute with the players in the building remains to be seen, but that's why they play the games, and that's why I cannot wait until Sunday.
Absolutely. Madeline Burke with us here on 104.5 The Zone, breaking down the Titans and the Giants. What have you made of Saquon Barkley this offseason? Because he never lacks for confidence, any press conference of him that I watch. But when I went back and watched some of him from last year, obviously the efficiency wasn't there. The offensive line was a different unit that they have done well, it looks like, in the offseason to fortify. But just at this stage in his career, what are we to make of Saquon?
I think, Saquon's gone through a lot in the last couple of years, injury-wise. Last season especially, he, spent 11 months coming back from that ACL injury. And, when you come back from an injury, you get back on the field. It takes a little bit to work back into your confidence in your body. And right when he started trusting his knee, trusting his body again, he had that freak accident where he stepped on a player's foot and rolled his ankle. And so that frustration of, hey, I just spent so long trying to get back on this field and now I'm back off of it, really kind of messes with you as a human, not just a football player. This season, though, he has been healthy. He has been eager. He has been ready to get back on this field. And he talked about, the way that this offense utilizes him. He said, I haven't moved around this much since I was in college. And he mentioned he actually went back and watched some of his old Penn State film in preparing for this offense. So I asked him, I said, what do you see? I mean, this far removed from your college career, looking back on the player you used to be, knowing the player you are now, what did you see then? He goes, I used to be a much more confident and free player. I felt more confident in my body. And that was before he had undergone so many injury issues. And he said, I'm finally starting to feel that again, though. I'm feeling that confidence. I'm feeling that freedom. And, Buck, it shows. When you watch him on the practice field, the way he moves around, the way he carries himself, not just in the game, in the practices, but also in his demeanor in the hallway, in interviews. He seems a lot more calm, at peace, and confident in himself. And I do believe that will translate to the field.
Certainly in week one. That's the best opportunity for those kind of things. Adoree Jackson is somebody I know you've gotten to know since he was released from Tennessee and signed by Dave Gettleman to a contract with the New York Giants. He seems like he is Adoree's never lacked for confidence either. It's a much more level and flat is not the best way to describe his tone because he's definitely got some personality to him.
Even keeled, right?
Even keeled. That's why you're better at this than I am. Adoree, though, is somebody who is a curiosity here because he really didn't live up to the potential as a first-round draft pick in this system. They have since shuffled the deck basically on all sides in their secondary since he was here. How much better has he fit within what the Giants want to do defensively?
Well, I think he's a great fit, but also it's an interesting element too because now he is one of the most veteran players in this secondary. He is somebody who is kind of a leader in this defensive backfield, and that's kind of an interesting role for him. And he's even said, too, that was a little bit interesting for him to embrace. They were playing 50 Cent in the locker room, and one of the other DBs was like, who's this? Is this a West Coast guy? And Adoree was like, gasp, what? And this player was
Wait, that hurts me, man. That doesn't make me feel good. I don't like that at all.
Exactly. And this player was born in 2001. Adoree's like, I remember wearing the white tank top and dressing up as 50 Cent for Halloween, and this kid doesn't even know who he is. So that is kind of a testament to his role and his stance in this, Giants DB's room, which is a very young room. But he is confident. He is, and he's very much excited to get back to Tennessee. This will be his first game playing at Tennessee since signing with the Giants, and I know he's excited to match up with Robert Woods, too, a guy he's known since high school, and they both are USC guys, although they were there at different times. So it'll be an interesting thing to see the way they utilize him as well.
You need to be following her at Madeline Burke on the socials for not just great Giants information. She covers the NBA. She covers sports across the board and in all different mediums. She's one of the best, and we're grateful for her presence on the radio show as always. Enjoy the game, Madeline. I appreciate you stopping by. And, don't be a stranger. We'll see you. If it's the Combine, I'll see you then. But if not, we'll catch up soon.
Hopefully sooner. But thanks so much for having me, Buck.
That's Madeline Burke with us on 104.5 The Zone. So, the confidence for Saquon, like the Giants in week 8 versus the Giants in week 1, different animal. Because, if their season goes down the toilet, it's a lot harder for Saquon and the confidence that he's carrying himself down the hallway with before, the first game of the year when, veterans around him are making their vacation plans because they know that New York's not making the playoffs or something like that by the time they get to November, as Taylor Lewan has discussed in his early years with the Titans. The best version of Saquon we will see on Sunday, I think. But that is the thing that I think is kind of – that's the known commodity. What they're going to do with all these other guys around their running game and the thing that people know that New York wants to do, or at least has wanted to do with him as their featured back, that is the thing that I think has the opportunity to throw more wrenches in whatever Tennessee wants to try and do defensively, or the thing that they're going to have to be able to stop. But you heard her say about Wink Martindale's defense. They want to dictate what this is going to look like. You've heard Kevin Byard say something to a similar effect, and that's how a defense has to approach in week one when you deal with new coaching staff and new systems and new personnels without the proper tape study that you will be able to do basically every other week of the year.
Jeffrey Simmons is constantly talking about that from a defensive perspective.
Yeah. So I think that is the thing that is going to, I think that the defenses are really going to define what this game looks like, I feel. And, those of you hoping for double-digit wins over a team that you consider to be inferior, and you're probably right. That doesn't mean that they can't throw some stuff at you in the first week of the season. Okay. So how do we do this? Do we gracefully, is there new imaging? Like, what happens now that I have to, I unfortunately have a funeral to go to for the rest of the show. So I'm done for the day. This is now the Lucas Panzica show. Have you, outside of the morning that I'm clearly doing, are you going to take over in some spectacular form or fashion? What else is happening here?
I would be taking much more of a victory lap if it were not for the circumstances. I am sorry for the loss of one of your oldest friend's mother. I hope you guys, are able to remember her later today, and then you're driving back on Saturday.
Well, yes, I'm going to spend some time with family, and then Sunday morning, I get up at 4, so I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back by 6 a.m.
Well, Austin Stanley is coming in. He'll be here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about our first look at a Harold Landry-less Titans pass rush for the first time in the Mike Vrabel era, with how healthy he's been over the years, and Coach Mack joining us at 11:20.
That's right. So stay right there. I'll talk to you guys Sunday afternoon, with Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan. We'll start you off with a noon Lee Company countdown to kickoff, and then, of course, with Jimmy Wyatt in the booth 15 minutes before kickoff on Titans Radio. Have a great weekend. The Lucas Panzica Show starts now.
And now, a life lesson from the Hitman.
I wanted to broadcast. I had a unique talent, and I think that's what everybody must find out. What is your special talent that you were God-given to you, and then grow it? You have to figure out what that is, but then grow it. And then now you've been sitting in the household of the B-bizzles and the shizzles.
There you go, life lessons from the Hitman.
This has been a life lesson from the Hitman, Blaine and Mickey. Today from 1 to 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
Old South, Tennessee's favorite home builder, makes home buying easy. For a limited time, you can purchase any new Old South home with a $99 contract deposit and pay only $99 in total closing costs. And it gets even better. First-time buyers may be eligible to receive $6,000 in additional down payment assistance. For more information, please call 615-871-4443 or visit oldsouth.com. That's OLESouth.com. Subject to credit approval using preferred lender, equal housing provider.
Sponsored by FarmSafe 811.
FarmSafe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The start of the NFL season is here, and the best place to practice your touchdown dance is on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. FanDuel is kicking off week 1 with a no-sweat bet for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a new customer or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if you don't win. Just log in and see for yourself. I'm going to get creative with my free bet. Right now in the Giants-Titans game, the over-under and total points scored for the Giants is 19.5, and I am taking that under. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, just sign up with promo code HUNK to get started. That's promo code HUNK, H-U-N-K. Either way, celebrate the return of the football season with a no-sweat bet during week 1. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and up and present in Tennessee. Refund issue is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
To know what makes Genesis Diamonds so special, you have to understand its origin. Back when owner Boaz Ramon used to sell diamonds only to jewelry stores.
I was selling to more than 700 jewelry stores. I didn't like what I saw.
What he saw in retail stores was grossly inflated prices, limited selection, pricing games, and a sales process that put the customer at a disadvantage, and it motivated this wholesaler to start his own retail revolution.
My passion was to build a place where the customer is going to be very informed. We're not going to hide any information from him. We're not going to have to get diamonds from other people. We're not going to mark up our prices to mark them down.
So Genesis was born. No middleman markups, no commission salespeople, industry-leading warranties, 30 times the selection, a no-holds-barred diamond education that empowers the customer, and a refreshing, relaxed, no-pressure atmosphere.
We created a place where the consumer is the king.
Come and get the royal treatment today. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
What's up, people? This is Ron Slade with nearly 10,000 five-star reviews. Mark Spain Real Estate is the most trusted and experienced real estate team in the U.S. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Trane heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit TraneInfo.com to find your local independent Trane dealer. TraneInfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. Superbook.com is now in Tennessee. Download the app and start winning today. Gambling problem? 1-800-889-9789. You don't need to be at the game to enjoy football this season. Download the Superbook Sports app or visit Superbook.com to start placing your bets now. Plus, check out their $1,000 first bet bonus. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
From the Superbook.com studio, WGFX Gallatin, Nashville.
A Cumulus media station.
The Titans and the Giants. Kickoff is Sunday at 3:25 on your Titans radio flagship. Trending now at 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11:03. Good morning from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported this morning that Titans safety Amani Hooker has agreed to a 3-year contract extension worth over $33 million. The deal for the 4th-year player has been confirmed by the team. Titans hosting the New York Giants on Sunday in Nissan Stadium. The Lee Company countdown to kickoff hits the air at noon. Titans countdown starts at 2 for a 3:25 kickoff with Mike Keith, Coach Mack, and the rest of the Titans radio crew. Mike Vrabel will meet with the media for the final time this week at 1 p.m. The number 24 ranked Tennessee Vols are on the road tomorrow at the 17th ranked Pitt Panthers. Looking to start the season 2-0, kickoff at 2:30. Vol Network coverage starts right here on The Zone at 12:30. And Vandy off to a 2-0 start. They host number 23 Wake Forest Saturday. Wake quarterback Sam Hartman expected to start after returning from a non-football related medical issue. Kickoff at 11 a.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It's time to sit and spin. It's the Buck Reising Show.
Powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to SpringHillAC.com.
On 104.5 The Zone.
You ready, Mace? Party people in the place to be. It's about that time for us to.
Yeah. We are one step closer to game day. Titans and Giants at 3:25 on Sunday, and it's the first time in the Mike Vrabel era that we're going to see a Titans pass rush that does not involve Harold Landry. Lucas Panzica joined by Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports. Buck on his way to Evansville, Indiana. He will be back for the game on Sunday, but Austin and I have got you until 1 p.m. What's up, man?
Yeah, Buck's got a big travel weekend.
Yeah, there's going to be a few of those this
Yes,
fall.
Yeah, and this is not supposed to be one of them.
No.
This was supposed to be
You're
a
right.
stay-at-home weekend, but, other reasons he's got to hit the road, and then hit the road again on Monday for Week 2 Monday Night Football.
There's not a lot of back-to-back home games for the Titans this year. So you don't get like those reprieves of 2-3 weeks just getting to hang out in Nashville and then having to hit the road to Buffalo or Indy or whatever it might be. I don't think they have back-to-back home games until like December or something like that. So a lot of travel and
And an early bye week.
And an early bye week. Yeah.
So we're just complaining about being tired before this thing even starts, right?
Yeah, which is great. But we have had the advantage of the back-to-back preseason home games, followed by the little reprieve that is Labor Day weekend, and then the Week 1 home matchup. So we've gotten to hang out here for pretty much the entire offseason and training camp, with the exception of a Thursday trip to Baltimore, which Buck had nightmares with, by the way. So hopefully that's not an omen for what's to come as far as traveling on Titans game day. But no traveling for Titans fans on Sunday, especially the ones that live in Nashville. Giants at Nissan Stadium, a 3:25 kickoff. Do you like that it's not a noon game? Do you like that you get to how much are you going to get to actually enjoy the noon kickoffs?
A little bit. I get to have the moment where I turn on NFL Red Zone, and it's like the Octo box of 8 kickoffs happening on Week 1. I haven't done that. I guess I did that 2 years ago because the Titans opened on Monday against Denver.
Denver,
right?
late Monday night game.
That was a fun Sunday to be able to say, all right, it's here, and I can kick back and not have to be dialed into something. So, yeah, I am excited for Sunday at noon.
So Coach Dave McGinnis is going to join us here in about 15 minutes and really get into this matchup and going up against a Wink Martindale defense, a Brian Daboll offense. But let's talk about this Titans defense. That is the first time, Austin, since Mike Vrabel took over as head coach, that Harold Landry just doesn't factor in whatsoever. He's been so available for this team for the last 4 years since he was drafted in 2018. So it's almost a foreign concept under Mike Vrabel. And I know he was a rookie in 2018. I don't think he made his debut until Week 2 that year. But still, I mean, what's the biggest question here for you when you think about a Titans pass rush and what it's going to look like without Harold Landry, who signed a huge contract in the offseason, big year in 2021? What's the biggest question in your mind when you think about this pass rush?
It's what the Bills did last night, is sack the quarterback a bunch of times without blitzing once.
Once?
Not once. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts.
And I don't know what the Rams looked terrible on offense last night in a lot of different ways. But, yeah, I guess that's it, because we expected with Simmons, Dupree, Landry, Autry, just those 4 alone, they can get home or at least create a lot of pressure by themselves that allows Caleb Farley to mature. It allows Roger McCreary to get his feet wet a little bit and have his job be easier. And then you like Christian Fulton and Byard and Hooker in the back end too, but those guys up front with Landry make their lives a lot easier. And so you just don't have all right, line it up. Those 4 guys are going to be really good and not worry about it. You have to get a little more creative now.
615-737-1045. Give us your thoughts. For me, can Rashad Weaver capitalize on playing opposite Bud Dupree the way Harold Landry was able to? And you shouldn't expect Rashad Weaver, obviously, to put up the numbers that Landry did with 12 and a half sacks a year ago. But that's the biggest question for me, because the numbers when Dupree was on the field for Harold Landry were, we talked about it a lot in the offseason, exponentially better with Dupree on the other side. Like the 3 sacks for Bud Dupree did not really color the impact he had on the Titans last year.
No, and I told this at 3HL probably mid-training camp, that the Bud Dupree moment that stands out to me that didn't show up anywhere in a box score was Week 2 in Seattle. The Titans were down by 2 scores at that point in the fourth quarter. They had to get a stop. It was 3rd and passing. And Bud Dupree forced Russell Wilson out of the pocket to throw it away.
Yeah.
Punt back, Derrick Henry touchdown, now you got a game again. And that's the Bud Dupree that you saw last year. Now I think you're going to see him actually finish with more sacks and be disruptive, be that all-around player. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
That wasn't a fully healthy Bud Dupree,
no,
too.
that was Week 2.
Yeah, this is
he
before.
didn't play the next week against Indy. That was the whole week 3 is he's break glass in case of emergency, Bud Dupree.
Yeah, and that was right around when he told us, like, I probably came back a little sooner than I should have, which I'm sure Mike Vrabel loved him saying that to the Titans media corps. But, yeah, I think that's correct because Rashad Weaver, if he can have that sort of impact to any extent, Bud Dupree has to have a bigger year statistically for the Titans. Like, sacks aren't everything, and some of his biggest impacts last year did not come from actually sacking the quarterback. I feel like there were a bunch of those instances that you're talking about. Just forcing a guy out of the pocket to throw an interception. Or I think Bud Dupree had the rush on Carson Wentz that led to the 2-yard Elijah Molden pick 6 in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So can Rashad Weaver kind of provide any modicum of that? And can there just be no drop-off for Danico Autry and for Jeffrey Simmons? You expect probably a step forward.
Yeah, I think the one thing you have to worry about is now you don't have the depth. Rashad Weaver was an awesome depth piece. And conversations at training camp like, well, man, Weaver looks really good for the second preseason in a row, but how many snaps is he going to get? Mm-hmm. And now he's going to be relied upon for a lot of snaps, and you just don't have like the curveball or the fresh legs in the third, fourth quarter to come out and get you a good rush when you need him, when Landry's played, 50 snaps in the game already.
Bug put it well that was the one thing that could have made this Titans defense special, right? Like top 5 in the league was Harold Landry being on the field with this team.
Zach and I with A to Z, we had top 5 expectations on the scoring defense before Landry. I still think it can be top 10 scoring.
Yeah.
And Landry, as good as he is, he doesn't change the spread. He doesn't change the win total projections. He doesn't change, he might make the Colts games a little bit more, sweat, as you're watching those things. He might make Josh Allen a little more difficult, but he's not going to change the overall picture and scope of what the season can be.
I feel like 2 things have to happen for there to be minimal drop-off. Rashad Weaver has to have some type of breakout season. Like, it just has to be a factor. And Bud Dupree has to have the best season he's had since he tore his ACL in 2020. Like, if both of those things don't happen, there's a big drop-off with the Titans pass rush.
I still think Jeffrey Simmons and Autry make things easy too. I think you need double-digit sacks from Dupree. I think it's realistic to expect 6 or 7 from Weaver. And then Simmons and Autry, those guys were close to 10 last year as mostly interior guys.
Yeah.
So you'll have some drop-off, but do they get creative with Molden off the edge? Or, David Long Jr. is shown to be a really good blitzer at times throughout his career. So it's going to force them to get a lot more creative.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in, too, is seeing schematically if this does impact the Titans' defense with what Harold Landry can do, dropping back in coverage. Coach Mack will be coming up in a few minutes. I want to talk to him about the biggest differences between Weaver and Landry and where that can sort of come into play around the defense. Like how they can try to make up for that in certain spots, or will it look that much different?
Well, and too, because Landry tore his ACL on August 30th. If you knew that he was going to tear his ACL, you'd prefer it to be July 30th, mm-hmm. So you at least get a full trip.
Yeah, that's a good
everything
point.
Was done, right? Like they were ready. You were about to enter game week
in the books,
and now, oh god, and so many things lined up of why they canceled practice the Thursday, why Mike Vrabel was in a terrible mood at the press conference after the fact, that he was feeling it because Landry was done. So
things went too well in the preseason, right? Like throughout training camp, as far like you didn't have guys coming on and off the field for the most part. Elijah Molden misses time here. Dylan Cole misses time there. Danico Autry barely practiced throughout training camp.
But you could see him. Like they were the guys who were out missing practice were at least visible at the facility. They weren't just hidden behind closed doors.
And Autry hasn't been on a list at any point. Like PUP, injury reports this week, nothing. So you expect him to be a full go. But yeah, that is a tough break. I guess I haven't thought about it in that way, that they didn't have even one training camp practice to go with the mindset of we don't have Harold Landry at our disposal.
Yeah, the training camp was closed.
Yeah.
Like the roster was set. It was after cutdown day.
There's been a lot of looking back at 2002. I think it was either 2001 or 2002 where Javon Kearse goes down with a Liz Frank, I want to say. He played the first few games.
That was 2002.
Out for the season. I was talking to Blaine about it last Friday because he was on that team. And Carlos Hall, like a 7th-round rookie, steps up with 8 sacks. So a lot of people are pointing to that and say Rashad Weaver, Carlos Hall, or Carlos Hall is Rashad Weaver.
And Rashad Weaver's an All-American in college.
Yeah.
So
and
he just, for whatever reason, fell to the 4th round.
And is in his 2nd year.
Yep.
And not his first. We'll talk about it with Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio. Some of the tendencies that the Titans will face with this Giants defense. A new regime. Wink Martindale goes from Baltimore, now the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. Coach Mack of Titans Radio coming up next. It's the Buck Reising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
Tonight, it's Oakland at Ravenwood in Week 4 of the 104.5 The Zone High School Football Game of the Week.
Rolls to his right, flings it down the middle of the field. It's tipped up and intercepted. Intercepted at the 40.
Coverage starts tonight at 6:45 with Will Bowling and Lucas Panzica on Nashville's home for high school football, 104.5 The Zone.
The best decisions are usually based on experience and trust. And when it comes to selling your home, Mark Spain Real Estate is the most trusted and experienced real estate team in the U.S. with nearly 10,000 five-star reviews. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry, so you can sell your home stress-free and make the most money. Our guaranteed offer keeps you in control. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Certain restrictions apply.
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know? A driveway basketball hoop, including the base, weighs around 400 pounds. Something you probably do know? There's a windstorm coming. Something you probably don't know? A basketball hoop tipping over can poke a hole in a car roof like a can opener. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Titans Radio has been partnering with Farm Bureau Health Plans for years, and we'd like to recognize a big milestone. They've been in business 75 years, serving Tennesseans and protecting their health since 1947. Their mission has always been providing Tennesseans with access to high-quality health coverage at an affordable price while delivering the personal customer service folks have come to expect from the Tennessee Farm Bureau. I have my Medicare supplement and dental vision coverage with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and I'm happy to say, happy 75th Farm Bureau Health Plans.
When you go to a place of business or hire a business to come to your home, that business has a legal duty to protect you from harm and injury. Yet many times people are attacked, raped, robbed, and even murdered because the business they trusted violated that duty. Some businesses are in high crime areas, yet because of cost, security was not provided, and serious injuries or death occurred. Sometimes the lighting in a parking lot or other parts of the business is so dim or not lit at all so as to allow criminals to prey on that customer. Many times we have cases in hotels, apartments, and in-home services where rape, mayhem, and physical assault occur because of the lack of security or negligent hiring of criminals with records. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com or on your cell phone dial #law. That's all. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Forthepeople.com.
Are you ready for some football? Who isn't? And there's no better place to kick off the weekend of football than Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Scoreboard is partnering with 104.5 The Zone to kick off the weekend of football. Low Country Boils, the largest selection of bushwhackers, and the best live music in Nashville. Be there every Friday from 3 to 6, hang with the 3HL, and see if you can beat Brennan Slay's picks. This Friday, if your picks are the best, win $250 in gift cards and prizes. Don't forget the Spasmatics every Sunday, 4 till 7. Scoreboard.
Homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Dawn Davenport. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you gotta call my friends at Loan Pronto now. Listen, not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you're buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today. You could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help you keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto at 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com at 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
It's football time in Tennessee, and nothing goes better with football than a good cocktail. That's why I trust my guys at Red Dog Wine and Spirits. Their experts can help you fill your glass with the perfect wine, craft beer, or aged bourbon to upgrade your game day. Don't forget, the tasting bar is always open, so try the newest spirits and the exclusive Red Dog selections. Shop online for curbside pickup, delivered via your favorite delivery app, or visit the store for their latest selections. Red Dog Wine and Spirits, 1031 Riverside Drive in Franklin, or online at reddogwineandspirits.com.
Is your company hiring? We can help. Invest in your workforce at tnjobfair.com.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Indeed it is, and Coach Dave McGinnis joins the Buck Reising Show each and every Friday at 11:20 on 104.5 The Zone. Coach Mack, only 2 days away from game day, your last Friday hit before the Titans played regular season football. It is a beautiful day. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, great being on with you guys, Lucas. Yeah, I mean we're getting to it now. I mean you can tell that what the atmosphere was, at practice all week. I mean there's just a difference, and people always ask, and I'm asked a lot of times, a lot of places where I'm making talks and talking about, the progression of the National Football League during the season. Big difference between preseason and the regular season, and you could definitely feel it, around the facility this week.
And, Coach, it sounds like there's a big difference in preparing for a Week 1 opponent with a first-year head coach as opposed to a head coach, a regime that you're familiar with. And it's the second time in Mike Vrabel's tenure with the Titans that they opened the season against a team with a first-year head coach. Last time was 2019 in Cleveland. We all remember how that game went. But Vrabel's talked this week about going back and looking at Buffalo, New England, even Alabama tape to prepare for Brian Daboll. How do you strike that balance of using that tape as a resource and then kind of projecting how they're going to utilize their current personnel?
Well, that's a relevant question, and I've done it, during my coaching career, and that's what you do. Because you play people that are calling the plays, and I know Daboll has turned it over a little bit, but he will still be very much involved, and then Wink Martindale too on the other side of it. But look, you've got to go back and you've got to find out, what people like to do, because coaches that are calling offense and defense, they get in a pattern also, regardless of where they are. Now, it may be different, the way that they use their personnel or what personnel is available to them, but absolutely, you do all the research that you can do. I did it all during my career. I did it now for this game, preparing for this game. I went back and watched, a lot of Buffalo tape. I went back and watched a lot of Baltimore tape just to acquaint myself with something that may come up scheme-wise, during the ball game. So you absolutely do that. And nowadays, with the technology the way it is, you can get so many things and really work it down to finite details. And they really leave nothing unturned. But saying all of that, Lucas, it's still the unknown the first week.
Yeah, and Coach, the unknown of how Saquon Barkley is going to bounce back too. How much do you take weight in that tape from last year, where he wasn't very efficient, wasn't productive, and try to see what he's going to be this year?
Well, what you know is, and you know what Barkley is, and his physical capabilities. He hasn't been healthy, so that's always, that is always the caveat when you're looking at a really good player that has a down year. You have to take into account what their health was. This guy's completely healthy now, and plus, he's got a new lease on life because things had not been going well there. Going on with the front office, with the coaching staff, anything you want to say that affects players just as much as injury does at times. And so the environment has completely changed. You know that he is feeling this is his best chance now to get back on track and to be the guy that they drafted as high as they did. But you look at him physically as to what he is. He's a special player. And, for our listeners, it's not only running the football. This guy is really good at catching the ball, and not only out of the backfield. I think, in my humble opinion, we will see him split out some, in empty sets. They'll try to get matchups on him. He's a good route runner. He as I said, he's not only just a swing pass, screen pass type of a guy. This is an individual route running guy. So they're going to have their hands full. And tackling this dude, it's much like the guy that we have running the ball here. It's not a single man job. You've got to get roll call to the ball against this guy, and that's going to be important. Tackling always in the first couple of weeks is something that you really, really want to focus in on as a coaching staff and continue to preach it to your players, because that's the one thing that nobody does full speed with their final 53 during the season because of injuries. So you've got to drill that in.
Yeah, and Mike Vrabel and a lot of coaches do a lot of the situational spots in training camp, whether there's a minute 20 on the clock, 80 yards to go, you have one timeout, you need a field goal, or whatever the situation might be. How do you try to simulate that in a training camp practice in August to make it feel like you're prepared for week one against an actual opponent when there are stakes on the line?
Well, that's part of being organized as a staff, and believe me, the practices that you've witnessed all through training camp and even now, I know that what they do. You plan those out very specifically. You try to cover all the bases that you can. It's extremely important. Look, the National Football League is about two things. It's about personnel matchups, and it's about situational football. And situational football, the better grasp that you have of that, and the more you can prepare your players for those situations that are going to arise, that's where experienced coaching really comes into being and is a big help. And then you can present it to your players, but having your players understand it and know that when the time comes, this is how we have to react to this certain situation. Though that and personnel matchups are what the National Football League and coaching is about. And you have to be able to master both of those things to even give yourself a chance.
Coach Dan McGinnis of Titans Radio with us on 104.5 The Zone, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Look to the folks at Farm Bureau when you need someone who knows the health coverage game plan. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years. You can hear him on the call with Mike Keith. Go ahead, Coach.
I love that spot that you did. Do you know Randy Wilmore from Farm Bureau Health Plans? You need to get to know him. One of the best dudes in the history of the world. Those people at Farm Bureau, you did a nice job with that spot. But let me just tell you, Coach Mack knows good from bad in a lot of things. Those people are outstanding.
Well, Coach, we're not the only people that have to thank Randy Wilmore and Farm Bureau Health Plans. I think everybody that has the pleasure of listening to you break it down with us every week has them to thank as well, without a doubt. On the Call Sunday, 3:25 kickoff with Mike Keith on Titans Radio. So, Coach, Brian Daboll has handed off play calling to Mike Kafka, who comes in, has never been an offensive coordinator in the NFL, but there's the caveat that Daboll can take over play calling duties at any time. So how much do you still just kind of trust this is a Brian Daboll offense to its core, but maybe kind of trying to leave room for whatever Kafka might bring and sort of being on your toes for that?
It's Daboll's offense. It's Daboll's offense. I mean, I've done this too much. I was the head coach, and I hired a defensive coordinator, but believe me, I knew what was going on. And he's going to too. And to me, I mean, look, you'll see him down there on the sideline. That headset works really well. Where and so I promise you, he will be very much in tune, especially early on. I mean, this is his shot at a head coaching job, and so he will leave no stone unturned. But calling plays, is what got him a head job. So he's not going to give that up entirely very quickly. I promise you that.
Okay, so, and we do know it's certainly Wink Martindale's defense with the Giants. Titans fans are familiar with Martindale from his time with the Ravens. So now working for Brian Daboll, Coach, what is the signature of a Wink Martindale defense that you expect to see on Sunday?
Pressure, and he's done that. I mean, he can't help himself. That's who he is. And that's what he's going to do. And you're going to see pressure from a lot of different areas. And it's identifying fronts. You're going to see some really unusual fronts, overload fronts, both to the open side and to the closed side. You're going to see a lot of people mugged up, walked up, bogeying, walking around. What he tries to do is confuse not only with initial looks, but confuse with who's coming, who's not coming, who's dropping out of there. He tries to work matchups. What he tries to do is confuse you before the pre-snap and then show you something completely different after the snap. So it's a real concentrated effort for the offense as a whole. It's not just the protection unit. It's the quarterback. It's the receivers. Who's hot? Who's not? Where is the man-to-man matchup we like when this look is coming? So it's going to be a feeling out process. I promise you. Those Microsoft services on the sideline will be working overtime in the first quarter of this game because there's a lot of things that you can prepare for a lot of things, but you never really know till you get into it. I've coached against, I know Wink very, very well, and I promise you he is not going to change his nature at all. It's going to be heat and pressure throughout his career. He's about a 45% blitz guy throughout all downs, and so that's what we are going to see this Sunday.
If you're on this staff, what's your pregame conversation like with NPF making his first start in his first game?
Well, really not pregame, not anything. I mean, it's what he's done to prepare. I mean, he's earned the right to be able to do that. And you draft guys for their ability, then you've got to coach them up. You've got to get them used to what the National Football League is. But, I mean, pre-game, you don't go to him and you look him in the face and say, okay, here's the big deal. No, let him play. Let him play, coach him. You know he's going to make mistakes. They all do. I've coached 8 Hall of Famers in my career. They all made mistakes, but you just got to be consistent. And that, their consistent coaching with him, it's not just on him. Look, everybody had to start somewhere when they started. Everybody had to start somewhere. This is his start.
Coach, we were talking earlier about the loss of Harold Landry, the first time we see this Titans pass rush without Harold Landry. If you're coaching this defense, how much more attention do you anticipate going to Bud Dupree? And then what would that mean for a guy like Rashad Weaver as far as the opportunity in front of him?
Well, he's got an opportunity. I mean, and clearly, I mean, that's a major loss because, what Harold Landry has done since he's been here. I mean, he started 3 games his rookie year. Then the last 3 years, he's been a premier performer in the National Football League and has been a 90% participant on defensive snaps the last 3 seasons. And that's why he got the contract. He earned it. He deserved it. I mean, it just, as a longtime coach, when I see players that develop and earn their money and are able to get to that point and then have something happen like that, it just makes me sick to my stomach. But the reality of it is you've got to move on and you've got to win ball games. And so they will work that by committee out there. And Bud Dupree doesn't have to do anything different. He just has to be Bud Dupree. That's the thing that that everybody needs to understand about, playing a team sport like that, especially in the National Football League. You've got people here that you expect them to be able to perform when they get their chance. Now we're going to have several people. You mentioned Rashad Weaver. He will get his chance along with several others rotated into that spot.
So when you look at the differences between Weaver and Harold Landry, their traits, intangibles, what they bring to this defense, what sticks out the most when you think about strengths that Weaver has that he could step in and utilize, or maybe weaknesses that won't allow him to make up for what Landry did bring?
Well, they're different. They're different types of players. I mean, Harold Landry came in from Boston College, and what his trademark was. He was a bendy edge rusher, motorcycle lean. I mean, that's what he was. All right. Rashad Weaver is a speed to power guy. He's a speed to power guy, excessive effort guy that will just overpower you with strength and tenacity. They're 2 different types of players. They get things done. They still get things done and are able to produce, but they're completely different types of players.
Does it make a difference that Landry got hurt on August 30th instead of, pre-training camp or July 30th?
Well, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. Here's when the best time to get hurt is never.
Never. Yeah. Well, I guess when it comes to, going into a game week where you made it through the entire camp without a devastating injury like that, where if it happens early in camp, you at least have 3 weeks of camp and a couple preseason games to kind of figure out more of what you got. Or at that point on August 30th, you already know what you got.
They know what they've got already because all of these guys have been here at camp working. Okay, it's just a matter of now who's going to take over the number of snaps. Go back to what I said about the participation. Harold Landry has been available for 3 years for 90% of the snaps. You prepare. Look, when you're preparing people during training camp, whether they're a backup in their first year or their third or fourth year, you prepare everybody as if they are going to be the dude. And so you wouldn't prepare any different. They know who their people are. The one thing they did do, they went out and found another veteran player in Tuska to bring him in here, to see what he can do. But the thing about preparing people, you don't just say, we're going to work these guys and everybody else here during training camp's on the shelf. And, oh, by the way, if you get a chance to do something, we'll start working with you once the season starts. That's not how it works.
So what do you like about Tuska, Coach? What does he bring to this defense?
Well, I mean, I haven't. I remember vetting him coming out of North Dakota State. I mean, he's always been a pretty savvy edge guy. I haven't spent a lot of time, going over what he is right now. I've watched him in practice, and of course, since he's been here. But we'll see. Here's what I do know about him, and what I can say. He's a veteran player that has played in games. And experience in games when you're a guy coming in, regardless of where you travel and go into, that experience helps. And so if he is called upon, it won't be like it's brand new to him, the experience of playing on defense in the National Football League.
Coach, we've heard Mike Vrabel a few times over his head coaching career saying to a player, I can't wait to watch you play. I remember it being about Marcus Mariota a few years ago.
Sure.
Is there a guy that you cannot wait to watch him play on Sunday after going through this offseason?
Yeah, Kyle Phillips. I really want to watch him, when he's playing against real dudes and when the heat's on, because I really think this guy, I want him to be very productive. I mean, there are just some guys, over the course of the 37 years I've done this now, when you look at him and you say, regardless of anything else, this guy's a football player. I'm looking forward to watching him play if he gets a chance to play. In the passing part of it, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the return game, because if he is able to, he and the return team, everybody's got to be involved in it, are able to duplicate what we saw a little bit of a hint of in preseason, it's going to help this team a lot.
He's Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio. Will be on the call. Titans Countdown starts at 2, kickoff at 3:25 with Coach Mack, Mike Keith, the rest of the Titans Radio crew. And you can hear it, of course, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Coach Mack, can't wait to see you on Sunday. Cannot wait for kickoff on Sunday. Appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed being on with both of you.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio. Yeah, Derek Tuska, I have no idea what to expect. I'm intrigued. I mean, I just have absolutely no idea.
Just play like your hair's on fire and see what happens.
Coach Mack played in 15 games last year. I mean, he played in a bunch of games for the Steelers, had a pair of sacks, played in 9 games the year before that, his rookie year. But it's probably more for us, like what you asked about, him getting hurt on August 30th and Coach Mack saying, well, they know what they've got. But we have no idea what they got in Tuska. Right? Like they've done the vetting and all the work, but we haven't. We have no clue.
Yeah. And the Kyle Phillips answer that he gave was great, because Zach and I were talking this morning on A to Z Sports that you could ask the question, who's going to lead the Titans in receiving yards on Sunday? And you could probably get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
And one of them could be Kyle Phillips. Or Kyle Phillips gets like 2 catches for 9 yards. Nobody knows what to expect from the offense because there's been so much turnover from the playmakers.
I'm very curious as to watching Austin Hooper.
Yep, same.
On Sunday. Yeah. With the defense that's going to throw as much at the Titans as the Giants are. I mean, Hooper has just been like the safety valve for Tannehill since March.
Yeah, and how much is he going to be limited in his pass routes because he's going to have to help in PF at right tackle?
Let's hear from NPF. Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports talked to him outside of his locker a couple of days ago about his first career start, what he's up against with this Giants front, who, by the way, may be without Azeez Ojulari and without Kayvon Thibodeau. They will have Leonard Williams. They will be bringing heat, but those guys' status completely up in the air. Brian Dable said that'll go right up to game day as far as determining whether or not they're going to play, which could make a huge difference for the rookie out of Ohio State. Here's what Petit Frere had to say earlier this week.
We're still working on technique and things like that, but it's a great group of guys, and we have a lot of great connections and a lot of great veterans in here, so it builds every single day.
That is Nicholas Petit Frere on his first career start in the NFL. You have to anticipate trouble, right? Like growing pains. It's probably not going to look pretty right out of the gate. I just wonder about what that overreaction is going to look like from Titans fans.
Yeah, but why they loved NPF coming out of Ohio State is because he's smart and he can do different things within the game. And I think you can trust him as a young player. If he makes a mistake in the first quarter, he'll learn from it the next time he sees it on the next drive. You know, like I think he's that type of player that can pick up on things quickly. So yeah, the whole thing's gonna be ugly. If it starts raining and it's nasty out there and Wink Martindale's throwing a bunch of different types of smoke at you, it's just gonna be ugly. When's the last time a Titans home week 1 game hasn't been ugly?
We're going to talk about that in the noon hour because, yeah, you've got some interesting stuff on that. When you think about it, it is definitely an interesting topic. Alex on the YouTube chat where you can hang out with us on 104.5 The Zone TV says, let's be honest, Brian Dable saying we're going to take it up to game day means they're not going to play, and we don't want the Titans to know that just yet, talking about Ojulari and Thibodeau, which is probably right, but Giants are still going to be bringing heat for 4 quarters. And you're right, the weather looks a little bit dicey on Sunday, so we'll see what happens. Week 1 around the NFL has already started. I know everybody's geared up for kickoff on Sunday, but week 2 of a college football slate starts tomorrow, and there's some SEC games to talk about. We have an SEC stat of the day for you coming up next. It's the Buck Reising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
It's an exciting time to be a Tennessee fan.
This is Coach Josh Heupel, and it's football time in Tennessee.
And we're excited to be along for the ride.
Touchdown, Cedric Tillman, 70 yards, quick strike offense.
Nashville's home for the Vols is 104.5 The Zone.
Country Financial is the place that you need to go if you want to make sure that you're protected. Did you know that the cost to rebuild a home has increased by almost 50% since 2019? If something happened to your home, it's important to make sure that you can rebuild. Most home insurance does not account for inflation, but with Country Financial, it can. With their additional replacement cost coverage, you can be sure your home's full value is protected. As a homeowner, I wanted my home to be covered for what it would actually cost to rebuild if something were to happen. As I've said many times, natural disaster can happen at any moment, as many of us well know, in Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, where the radio station signal reaches. Country Financial provides insurance and financial services to help you prepare for the most important moments in life, even the ones you hope never happen. Find your local representative at countryfinancial.com.
Men, at the end of the day, are you wiped out? Your energy is gone and you don't feel or look the way you used to? You've tried diets, fasting, vacations? Nothing sticks. Get back to your youth with Edge Peptide Therapy using their specially formulated Revive package designed to get you feeling like your younger self. Edge is so confident in their peptide therapies, they're offering your first month free when you sign up. That's right, your first month's treatment is free at Edge Peptide. Call 615-724-1878 or go to edgepeptide.com. That's edgepeptide.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Ever tried to shop for a diamond online? They all look great on the computer screen, but the fact is, most reputable jewelers like Genesis Diamonds wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
These are the diamonds that nobody wants to buy. We call them the B-quality diamonds.
That's Genesis owner Boaz Ramon, who says that even diamonds with the same grade and specs on paper can be very different when you see them up close in person, especially the ones from online dealers.
Those diamonds gonna look always cloudy or dirty. It's like you're wearing your glasses and there is fingerprints all over the glass. You just don't understand, or nobody told you that the material that this diamond was cut from was not the best material.
Why risk it? At Genesis Diamonds, they screen thousands of diamonds and only choose the best of the best for maximum
Game day vibes. Are these game day vibes for you? Like when you're in the locker room at Brentwood High School, Austin Stanley, getting ready for a game against Ravenwood, who we have tonight, by the way,
Yeah.
in the 104.5 The Zone game of the week. Is this what you're listening to?
This was probably more middle school for me. But yeah, I mean, this was definitely on a CD in my dad's truck at one point during the early 2000s. Yes.
I love it. Brett Batchelor on the controls. Lucas Panzico with you alongside Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports.
We talked about baseball that entire break for no reason, and then
We did,
batter up back from break.
Yeah, I think Brett was eavesdropping. Big weekend of college football in the SEC. First couple of big conference matchups coming around. So the SEC stat of the day, Austin, is 1.9. That is the average yards per carry that Kentucky registered against Miami of Ohio in their season opener last week. They totaled 50 rush yards as a team in that game. That does include sack yardage.
I hate that so much.
It makes no sense. 18 yards of sack yardage. So we'll call it 68. Doesn't make it any better for me.
Right.
This was supposed to be one of the deepest running back rooms in the SEC. Chris Rodriguez Jr. was the league's lead returning rusher, suspended multiple games. He got a DUI in May. Ramon Jefferson was an underrated transfer, came in from Sam Houston State, really productive FCS career. He tore his ACL in week 1. So Cavassier Smoke is now RB1 for Kentucky until Rodriguez can come back, and they're going to need to kind of patch together a run game that may or may not involve Tennessee transfer D. Beckwith. I have no idea. Yeah, I know. It continues to be a mystery. But with the way Florida held up in the trenches against Utah, and after Anthony Richardson's coming out party, another night game in the Swamp, Kentucky at Florida, I just don't see how Kentucky gets out of there with a win.
Yeah, give me Florida minus the points. Right?
I mean, yeah.
It just feels too good.
It does. What is the spread on that?
Let's see. I got to pull up my old BetMGM app and see what I had it pulled up earlier.
I mean,
I saw it at 6.5 in that range. Right now, BetMGM's got it at Florida minus 6.
I like that. I like Florida minus 6. Kentucky didn't look sharp at any point against Miami of Ohio. It took them a while to settle into that game.
Right.
And if they can't run the ball, like as much as people like Will Levis, and he's a good player, he's going to get drafted, he can't win you games like Anthony Richardson can he?
No, and I don't think many people can. Anthony Richardson just gives Vol fans nightmares, right? He is the perfect Florida quarterback to ruin something that Tennessee has going well.
If Tennessee and Florida win tomorrow, things could really be trending towards a hyped up Tennessee, Florida, and Neyland Stadium in week 4.
Yeah. All right. So Florida, I don't know who they have week 3, probably a cupcake, just like Tennessee does have
Akron.
With Akron, right? So I don't, if Tennessee beats Pitt, maybe they climb a few spots in the rankings, maybe crack the top 20. Florida's near top 10 in Knoxville. That does have game day potential, does it not?
It has game day potential. I'm actually very interested in look at other matchups.
Yeah, it depends on the other games that week, which we can pull up. I've got the SEC. Arkansas A&M though is pretty good.
Yeah,
at Texas A&M. That's just in the SEC as well. But I think that Tennessee-Florida game in Neyland will be absolutely bonkers.
I haven't even thought about that. That might be the best game of week 4 in college football.
Wisconsin, Ohio State.
Ugh.
Clemson, Wake Forest. Arkansas A&M. I think Arkansas A&M will be a tough one to beat out for a college game day.
Yeah, it depends what Arkansas is able to do against South Carolina
and
tomorrow.
Style points matters. Like if Tennessee takes care of business and handles Pitt, maybe.
I mean, that would be 2 4-0 teams. Tennessee and Florida would both be ranked. Like you said, Florida be knocking on the door of the top 10 if they're not in the top 10, especially if they handle Kentucky.
Yep.
And Anthony Richardson continues to kind of dazzle the way he did in week 1. But this Kentucky team had such high hopes going into the season. And if they start 1-1 with the loss to Florida and no idea when Chris Rodriguez Jr. comes back and Ramon Jefferson out for the season, and maybe Will Levis doesn't look as sharp against that Florida defense, then I think there's going to be some fiery phone calls up there on Kentucky Sports Radio.
Well, and that's what Mark Stoops was supposed to be building, was physicality. You waited through all of the 5-7, 6-6 years with Stoops because he was building it the right way. And then it did break through, but now you can't run the ball against Miami, Ohio. You're supposed to go recruit the state of Ohio to go get the Big Ten offensive linemen that can hold up in the SEC, and they couldn't, at least last week.
They have to throw the ball to have success. They have to be explosive in the pass game, and I don't think that's something that they ever wanted to have to rely on under Mark Stoops.
No, and they don't have Robinson like the Titans will see in Nashville on Sunday.
That's right.
Or Lynn Bowden from a few years ago, who was a playmaker by himself on that offense. So they don't have that guy to help the actual quarterback.
They have, I feel like, a little bit more balance as far as targets go, but you're right that they don't have a game changer.
There's not the dude.
No,
Yeah.
no. And I wonder if that dude's going to be Barryon Brown, or is going to have to be Barryon Brown. He was the most exciting player on the field for Kentucky last week, the former Pearl Cone product, just an absolute track star, ran back that kickoff return to open up the second half. Luke in the YouTube chat says, I think Tennessee, Florida gets game day hands down if they're both undefeated. A&M Arkansas is not on campus, and Columbus just hosted game day. That's a great point.
A&M Arkansas not on campus.
It's in Jerry World. It's in Dallas. Although I don't know that would put
that
game
help
day
it or
off.
hurt it?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think most people prefer college game day to be on campus in actual college football environments, not in Jerry World in Dallas. But if Arkansas handles South Carolina, which is another fun Week 2 SEC matchup, then that's absolutely in play.
Off the top of your head, last time game day was in Knoxville.
It would have been Florida 2012.
2012.
Oh, my goodness.
Derek Dooley. It was after the NC State game.
Oh, my goodness. It's almost hard to believe that even with all the hype in 2016 and Tennessee's a top 10 team that
well, they had game day in Texas A&M.
That's right, and that was a top 10 matchup.
Yeah, I was at both the Florida game in 2012 and the A&M game in College Station that year.
2 5-0 teams. Tennessee turned the ball over 7 times in that game. 7 times, and it went to overtime.
And I think it went to double or triple.
It went to Amani Watts with the interception.
Didn't leave my seat the entire game. No bathroom break, no extra drink. Just stayed there for a CBS broadcast that was probably 6.5 hours.
That is unbelievable. September 2012, the last time, and we all know how that went for Tennessee and Tyler Bray and co. Some fun Week 2 matchups happening in college football. We want to know your favorite one. 615-737-1045. One of them is in Pittsburgh, involving the Tennessee Vols. Just how monumental is this game for Josh Heupel and the Vols? I mean, just how important is Pitt 2022 after losing to them in 2021? We'll talk about it. Hour number 3 of the Buck Reising Show coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
Now, not a lot of places deal in guarantees anymore, especially when it comes to pricing. Two Rivers Ford, though, goes above and beyond to make sure that they can guarantee their customer satisfaction no matter how many different ways you like to shop or go about your business throughout the car buying experience. My friends at Two Rivers Ford, as usual, are making things easy, because they are offering guarantees like great prices and a locked-in interest rate when you custom order a 2023 model year Ford. Right now, when you custom order an F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Edge, Bronco Sport, Escape, or Mustang, they'll guarantee 2.9% APR for 60 months for all qualified buyers. So you can order now and lock in a great rate for whenever you start paying. That's the kind of peace of mind that Two Rivers Ford offers. Plus, they will give you $500 bonus cash on top of their already low prices. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business for exactly this reason. Beyond that, they always give a complimentary works package oil change whenever you purchase a vehicle. I know this because I did the Built For You program myself, and Two Rivers Ford takes care of me in the exact same way that they will take care of you. The best prices and guaranteed rates, all at a locally owned dealership with non-commissioned salespeople. It's like the good old days are still here at Two Rivers Ford. So custom order your next Ford from Two Rivers Ford.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported this morning Titans safety Amani Hooker has agreed to a 3-year contract extension worth over $33 million. The deal for the fourth-year player has been confirmed by the team, $19.5 million of it in guaranteed money. And Lamar Jackson will not be playing on a new deal in 2022. The Baltimore Ravens putting out a statement that the sides were not able to reach an agreement, so Jackson will be in a contract year throughout the course of the season. Titans hosting the New York Giants on Sunday in Nissan Stadium. The league company countdown to kickoff hits the air at noon. Titans countdown starts at 2. It is a 3:25 kickoff with Mike Keith, Coach Mack, and the rest of the Titans radio crew. Mike Vrabel will meet with the media for the final time this week at 1 p.m. The number 24 ranked Tennessee Vols are on the road tomorrow at the 17th ranked Pitt Panthers, looking to start the season 2-0. Kickoff at 2:30. Vol Network coverage starts right here on the Zone at 12:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. So Tennessee plays part 2 of the Johnny Majors Classic in Pittsburgh tomorrow, traveling to Acrisure Stadium, doesn't feel right to say, to play Pitt, kind of a familiar opponent as they faced off last year. But this Pitt team, very different from the one Tennessee saw in 2021. It's the Buck Reising Show. I'm Lucas Panzica. Buck on his way to Evansville, Indiana. He will be back for the Titans kickoff on Sunday. Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports hanging out until 1 p.m. Austin, I think we owe the audience an apology.
This is on you, right? This is your fault.
Is it on me?
I think, yeah, you were at the University of Tennessee when this happened. This is totally on you.
That's fair. Thank you, Brett. Brett Batchelor on the controls. That is completely fair. Even though you were the one who first suggested 2012, it is correct that I should have caught this. We were talking about the last time
joint responsibility.
College game day was in Knoxville. Eric Taylor in the YouTube chat saying game day was at UT Florida in 2016. So that is correct. I was a student at Tennessee. I literally visited the college game day set with my journalism class.
And you didn't remember.
And talked to Gene Wojciechowski, who is a UT graduate. And he talked to all the students. We got to go up and take pictures on the set and all that stuff. So, yeah, this is probably, we'll go 70-30, 70% to me. I can't believe.
Because I just asked you an opening question off the top of your head last time.
You're right.
I did think it was 2012, though.
Yeah, that one's on me. That was a 2:30 kickoff, Tennessee beating Florida for the only time since 2004. Yep. Jacob Ingleby says game day was also at Battle of Bristol that year. That's true. We're talking about college game day being in Knoxville on campus.
In 2016, Tennessee had 3 game days.
In the first 5 weeks?
6 weeks.
No, 6 weeks. You're right, because they were 5-0 and lost to A&M. That's crazy.
What a nutso year.
Preseason 9th ranked, number 9 team in the country in the AP poll. Nightmare start against App State. Almost blew that game. And then they start 5-0 and somehow don't win the SEC East. So we'll step away from the rearview mirror for a sec and look at Tennessee-Pittsburgh coming up tomorrow. We've talked about what this could do for just the excitement around Tennessee-Florida in Week 4. If Florida takes care of business against Kentucky, Tennessee takes care of business against Pitt. And you're right, style points absolutely matter when you talk about AP rankings and college game day coming to your school. What should the confidence level be right now for Tennessee fans about taking care of business at Pittsburgh after losing to them a year ago?
I think it should be high because of how that game played out last year. And last year's Pitt team was so much better than this year's Pitt team. There's no Jordan Addison. Kenny Pickett is now playing with the pro team in Pittsburgh, and so why not? And you saw some deficiencies that Pitt has on their roster against West Virginia where there was not a lot of crisp out there for Pitt in that game. And what you saw for Tennessee's offense and scoring 59 points against Ball State, but none of it was really over the top. And Pitt plays so aggressive with their corners. So there might be a lot more over the top tomorrow in Pittsburgh.
You have to think Tennessee has the advantage on the outside, right? With that press man coverage, big physical receivers.
Right, because towards the end of that game, Pitt's front got after, I guess,
West Virginia
really successfully. Like, they could not drive down the field because Pitt's pass rush was so aggressive. But, a quick snap to Hendon Hooker and a toss, up in the air towards Cedric Tillman doesn't even allow that to happen. And with them playing that aggressively, and last year that Cedric Tillman and Jones and some of the other guys for Tennessee were able to beat the press man to get deep. It's just that Joe Milton airmailed it into the stands a few times. And Tennessee still should have won that game or could have tied that game. There was a bad spot towards the end. I'm not over it, obviously. But still, and Hooker came in after Tennessee blew the early lead and all that too. So I think you should feel confident as a Tennessee fan, but it's all about the past of whenever you feel too confident, you get burned as a Tennessee Vol football fan. So it's having that in the back of your mind, but also trusting that Hendon Hooker is good. This offense is very impressive. And we'll just get into a shootout in Pittsburgh and see what happens.
They're a lot healthier right now and a lot deeper than they were a year ago against Pitt. I mean, that game, not only does Hooker come in for Joe Milton at halftime when Milton got hurt, but I think Cooper Mays missed time in that game. I can't remember if he missed the whole game or could barely stay on the field at center. I mean, there were just injuries across the board for Tennessee. But there's a couple reasons that this Pitt team looks way different from 2021. And it's not just because, out Kenny Pickett and Keaton Slovis. That's part of it. But even defensively, Pitt was the best team in the ACC at stopping the run last year. Mm-hmm. They defensively averaged, they allowed less than 90 yards per game on the ground, which is insane. They did that in the ACC a year ago, and it's week one. You don't want to do blanket takeaways from week one, but it's worth looking at the fact that they allowed 5.8 yards per carry against West Virginia. Like, they were able to run the ball almost at will against Pittsburgh. So if Tennessee can stay ahead of the chains in this game and run the football, we'll say 5 or more yards per carry, it's hard to imagine that happens and the offense is not humming and scoring on nearly every possession to get out of there with a win by a couple of possessions.
What did you think about Tennessee's ability to run against Ball State?
I don't know.
It wasn't consistent.
Yeah,
to me.
I didn't leave feeling they're going to be fine. Right. And you leave that.
It wasn't Kentucky, but it wasn't that. But it was. There was more to be desired from Tennessee's rushing.
Yeah, I was surprised that wasn't a little more of a topic of conversation because I felt like they had some similar short yardage issues that they had a bunch of times last year.
Yep.
Tennessee last season, it was consistent. They'd pick up 6-7 yards on first down, and boom, it's 2nd and 3. And then it turns into a 3rd and 1, and they can't pick up the yard they need to move the chains on the ground. So I agree with you. I didn't think it was consistent enough. I didn't think they dominated in the trenches as much as they probably should have. I mean, they had 2 tackles for loss on defense. You would have everybody made a big deal of no sacks on the day. I thought 2 TFLs was a little bit more glaring than 0 sacks against Ball State.
Especially because they had 110 tackles for loss last season.
Right. It was a huge, broke a school record.
Yeah. And so part of me, because as I was texting Charlie Burris and Jonathan Crompton and Zach Reagan, some of our Vols A to Z crew, throughout the game, it was, I guess, the optimistic view of watching the Ball State game about the offensive and defensive lines not dominating was there juice there? Or was it just a lack of juice from the Vols of, all right, it's Ball State. They threw a pick on the first play. Tennessee's up 7-0 after 23 seconds. This is going to be a cakewalk. Was it a lack of juice and adrenaline because of the opponent and how the game began, where there's no lack of juice going into the Pitt game? There is some revenge factor. It is a ranked opponent. It is a 2:30 kickoff, your first Saturday game in a road atmosphere. Is there going to be more of that juice from an O-line and a D-line that I think a lot of that is just the determination of I'm going to whip the guy across from me.
Defending Power 5 conference champion.
Right.
It's the
all
ACC
of those
champ.
things. Yes.
Offensively, obviously Kenny Pickett's drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in comes Keaton Slovis, a USC, who had a nice day, went to the ground a lot against West Virginia, was sacked 5 times, but played well for Pitt to win that game 38-31 in a crazy backyard brawl in week 1. But offensively, Mark Whipple's no longer there at Pitt. Frank Cignetti is now the offensive coordinator. Jordan Addison, the Bolitnikoff winner, is now at USC. This Pitt offense looks so different, almost unrecognizable this season. When you talk about being a lot less spread out, a ton of bunch sets, more tight ends, more offensive linemen on the field, a bigger focus on running the football and setting up the deep shot on play action. Where with Kenny Pickett, it felt like they were spread out, just slinging it all over the place.
Yeah, and if you take away the 7 sacks on Slovis, then they ran, and you count those towards the pass attempts. There's 31 pass attempts, 31 rush attempts. Pretty even. So I think, does that help Tennessee? Is Tennessee better off on defense facing a team that's more balanced? I don't know if they have enough DBs to be able to play spread out this year. Last year, they were a lot more deep in the defensive backs to match up there. So I think that could help Tennessee this season.
If they struggle to stop the run or at least contain the run, and Pitt wasn't great on the ground against West Virginia. Again, sack numbers influenced that heavily. But they didn't dominate in the rushing attack. They did it enough to set up the play action to where Slovis could pick West Virginia apart a little bit. But if that happens against Tennessee and the Vols aren't able to affect Slovis consistently, then it's going to be a really long day for this Tennessee defense. And you basically have to tell Hendon Hooker, all right, we need 40. We need 45.
It
Go
might
do it.
take that anyway. Even if Tennessee plays somewhat sound defense, you still might have to put up 40. It took 40 to win this game for Pitt a year ago.
That's right. I mean, it's going to be kind of a frustrating season for Tennessee fans in that sense, because that's going to happen a lot, right? Just telling Hendon Hooker in the offense, not winning this game with less than 38 points.
Well, it's a basketball game.
Yeah.
It's just going back and forth.
It's a little less frustrating than the opposite, right? Being able to get stops and then generating absolutely nothing on offense, just because it's a little more entertaining.
Yes. But the big thing here is Slovis threw for 308 yards on 16 completions. Just limit the big plays.
Yeah.
Keep them in front of you, and then be opportunistic and take advantage of when they might screw up or they might give you one or throw you one or allow there to be more snaps so you could go get after him and sack him more often.
Yeah.
You can't give him a big play.
Big opportunity for Tennessee to get that win against Pittsburgh. And if you want College game day in Knoxville for the first time since 2016 in Week 4 against Florida, that's got to be a win without question in Week 2. It's Week 1 for the Titans, and Week 1 hasn't been terribly kind to them in the past. We'll talk about that coming up next. It's the Buck Reising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
Summer's over, football season is upon us, but that joint pain, it's still there. Time to do something about it. Hey, it's Buck Reising. I want you to
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Week 1 of the NFL season started last night. Hope everyone enjoyed watching at least a quarter of good football between the Bills and the Rams. Titans kick off 3:25 Sunday against the New York Giants. Week 1 always brings hope, brings excitement, but for whatever reason, it has not necessarily been kind to the Titans, especially at Nissan Stadium in recent years. Lucas Panzica with you alongside Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports.
Yeah, Lucas, you know the last time the Titans have won in week 1 at home?
Just going off the top of my head.
Last year was terrible. Absolute disaster.
Yeah. I mean, that's the last time they obviously lost week 1 at home.
And they really haven't opened at home in week 1 all that often.
Right, because you think back to Miami, the longest game in NFL history, Cleveland Browns against Freddie Kitchens in his first game as head coach, but
in Denver, the COVID year.
Late Monday night game in week 1. Yeah, I did no research on this, which is always great when you can come in and do no research as part of the segment.
That's the bit, right? That's the A to Z Sports in this setup here is that I keep Zach in the dark. I'm going to keep Lucas in the dark on something. All right, so
go ahead.
Before the Cardinals game, the last home week 1 game before that was 2017 against the then Oakland Raiders.
Ooh, yes. I remember DeMarco Murray scoring a flipping touchdown in that game.
Yes, the Titans lost 26-16.
That was Tony Romo's first game as a CBS broadcaster.
You're right. Very good. Very good. 2016, home against the Vikings. The Titans lost that game in week 1. Cordero Patterson had a big kick return out of the second half to spoil a Titans halftime lead. Titans lose 25-16.
Was that so Mariota's debut? Oh, no, that would have been 15. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 2016, they went on to be 9-7 with first year of John Robinson.
That's right.
Then you got to go back to 2012. The Patriots were in town for week 1. Titans lose 34-13. Then 2010, Raiders again. Titans win 38-13. 2010, the last time the Titans have won a week 1 game at home.
Jeff Fisher's the head coach.
Jeff Fisher is the head coach. Vince Young was the quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been a bit.
Chandler in the YouTube chat says the flipping Murray touchdown was 2016 against Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it was the Raiders game in 2017 when DeMarco Murray flipped.
No. DeMarco Murray, it was. It was the Vikings game.
Oh, it was the
Vikings? Because that was the first game of DeMarco Murray.
Oh, it was his debut. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but
I'll concede on that one.
Just some more on that 2010 win. Jeff Fisher, the head coach, the running back combination of Chris Johnson and Javon Ringer ran the Titans to a 38-13 win over Jason Campbell and the Oakland Raiders.
Auburn legend Jason Campbell.
It's been a long time. Now, there haven't been as many opportunities, but in those 4 week 1 losses in Nissan Stadium since then, the turnover differential is Titans 8 to opponents 1.
So you're saying -7?
Yeah.
Okay.
-7 for the Titans.
Wow.
And they have not had a running back go over 60 yards on the ground in a week 1 home opener. In those 4 losses.
Obviously,
Derrick Henry got taken out of the game so early because of the turnovers and the points that Arizona put up.
Yeah, I mean they were completely knocked off their game plan in that game, and people always look to the preseason going into that Cardinals game. Right, they got ran off the field, and people talk about they didn't get starters didn't really play in the preseason, didn't really practice together. I mean, for me, it was much more about just getting in a hole early and completely being knocked off kilter and having to change everything that you do, your foundation, to try and play catch up against Kyler Murray.
Just punched in the face and we're like, whoa, what happened?
Exactly.
That's exactly what that game was. But yeah, Tannehill had COVID during training camp, and Julio Jones missed 20 straight days of practice. And then when Julio came back, that's when Tannehill got COVID. And so it was just the worst, overlapping you could have possibly had there. So, that's a bad trend. And then, just to make it more ominous, the rain and the weather coming in Sunday against the Giants, is that going to make it sloppy? Because you know what football people always say, the rain is the greatest equalizer to a game.
It certainly was.
A game the Titans should absolutely win.
It certainly was against Houston a year ago.
That's right.
Although maybe injuries to Titans receivers had a little more to do with it. Yes. But yeah, we'll say both. That is crazy. And obviously, those games have nothing to do with what's going to happen on Sunday.
Right.
But you still look at trends. And you can't ignore it. Four in a row.
It's been so long.
Mm-hmm. That's a long time. That's 12 years is a long time. I don't even want to say what I was doing in 2010 because I don't want people to turn off the radio because they're listening to like a child.
Yes.
So that is crazy. This offseason has been just different for Tannehill because he's had as much time as he has ever had around his targets. And I know I just kind of dismissed that when you talked about going into week 1 last year, saying it had more to do with getting it a hole early, getting knocked out of your game plan. But Titans got to do next to nothing in the 2020 preseason and mostly started fine against the Broncos in week 1. They snuck out of there with a win because Gostkowski had an awful day.
They missed a lot of field goals. They didn't score a lot of points. They stalled out in the red zone a lot in that Denver game because of lack of continuity getting going. But I think this has been the best Ryan Tannehill's looked in the month of August since he got traded from the Dolphins. And what will it be? Will it translate over to Sunday, week 1, week 2? I have no idea. But last year, we talked a lot about Tannehill throwing interceptions in training camp, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt because of what happened the year before, AJ, Julio, everything else. I mean, the Ferkser hype was there going into last season this time a year ago. And so now I feel like Tannehill has stepped up his game a lot more, and how he carries himself is visibly different this offseason and summer compared to before.
It's different because it's had to be, right?
Yeah, and it's not saying that he was a bad leader or not carrying himself with confidence beforehand, but there's just a difference in this year and before.
There's a difference between going up and telling Julio Jones where to go versus going up and telling Kyle Phillips where to go.
Oh, no doubt. That's where a lot of things for me changed, is what happened with a situation with Kyle Phillips in practice where Tannehill went after and coached him up and then went back to him later that same practice in a similar situation and scored a touchdown off of it.
So what's your number one concern? Like the biggest thing you worry will cause the Titans to start the season 0-1. We want to hear from you, 615-737-1045. But if you have to pick one thing that you say, if the Titans are going to lose and continue this trend of disappointing week 1 home results, what is that for you? I've been polling people in the building on this.
Todd Downing.
We put it to a poll at Buck Reising on Twitter. A lot of people replied with that.
Really? I was curious to see, were there options on this poll, or was it
open-ended?
Open-ended
we'll do the polls at the end of the show, but that was a very common trend.
Okay. They were so bad to start games last year. I think they punted 13 times. They only scored 3 drives on opening drives. Interceptions happened on opening drives 3 times last year too. So they have to be much better to start the game, because that's the thing, is that a team like the Giants that have been so bad the last few years, but they have new hope with a new coach, with some exciting talent around them. You give them a slimmer of hope that they can win this thing. Now you're in a fight you didn't want to be in.
Yeah. For me, it's this offensive line getting off almost to the start that we kind of expect them to. Like we talked about Nick Petit-Frere. I mean, he's probably not going to be all-pro his rookie year like Jack Conklin was, but he can still be a very serviceable right tackle for the Titans. If there are going to be growing pains, it's probably going to come earlier rather than later, which means week 1 against a defense that you heard Coach Mack talk about likes to bring heat, where every single one of the 11 players on the defensive side for the Giants can be a pass rushing threat at any time. That's what Wing Martindale does. Greg Cosell talked about it a ton this week on the install, and you heard Coach Mack talk about it earlier. The inability to sort of properly deal with that, for me, is what could just knock the Titans off balance, off kilter, and have them sort of frenetically trying to find other ways to get around that pass rush. That's my biggest concern.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. And then Aaron Brewer, how does he hold up in pass protection too? Because, the guy's great in run blocking because he's as strong as an ox. He's quick and explosive. But when you weigh 285 pounds and you're trying to anchor in a pass protection, like, you're going to get moved just because you don't weigh that much. And so do they attack him? I know he's opposite side of NPF, but I am curious to see how the pass protection holds up because it was so bad a year ago.
I'm curious as to how Roger McCreary looks if he is slotted inside. Let's say Elijah Molden's not on the field on Sunday. He's been banged up, hasn't practiced this week really.
And we should find out probably right as, we go off the air around 1 o'clock when Vrabel talks.
Blaine and Mickey will have that live, by the way. So tune into Blaine and Mickey here in about half an hour to find out who will not be playing for sure for the Titans on Sunday. We don't quite know who won't be playing for the Giants on Sunday. Really, the only guys that are up in the air at the moment of note are the two edge rushers, Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau, the rookie, and Daboll saying, we're going to take it right up to game day, and everybody around here is kind of taking it as they're probably not going to play. But for the Titans, right now, it looks like Elijah Molden is at serious risk of not playing in this game, which means Roger McCreary's likely slotted inside, Caleb Farley starting outside. And how those guys start the season for McCreary, how he starts his NFL career, is going to go a long way in determining how the Titans handle this Giants offense.
And do they match up, guys? I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to play left, right, and nickel. I feel pretty good when it comes to McCreary. I'm not going to worry about him that much.
He's had a fantastic
I think
camp.
It's more about how does Farley hold up throughout an entire game. Just because we haven't seen a lot of reps from him. I think he only had 30 or so pass coverage snaps last season. Does he get beat early? Then what happens? Does he get in his head and it all falls apart? Or does he bounce back and make a couple plays? Because I think Caleb Farley had a good camp as a whole. But I just don't know what to expect from the Giants' passing game. Because I think the Titans can get after Daniel Jones the same way you're talking about the Giants getting after the Titans.
Yeah. With Farley, that's not even the only sample size. You talk about the limited snaps in 2021. I mean, throughout training camp, that was the conversation. From Mike Vrabel, can he just put together consecutive good days? Stacking days. Coach Mack talks about it all the time. But it was a lot of times one day on, one day off, especially in joint practice against the Bucs, where they actually got to have multiple joint practices. Would be a really tough day for Farley, a really good day for Farley. And if he's going to be relied on as much as we think he is, assuming he's healthy this season, then it's something to keep an eye on. Throughout the course of the season, Caleb Farley's consistency when he's at his highest points, when he's at his lowest points, and if he can just avoid alternating those performances the way he kind of has in training camp a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And, if he's going to have a bad one, do it against the Giants and then have a good one against the Bills.
I'm interested in this receiver core for the Giants. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if you're going to do it, let's do it this way.
Do it against the Giants, and you still might have a shot to win.
Do you think watching the Bills last night just has Titans fans?
Absolutely
just
freaked
sweating?
out. Yes.
No, we've been here before. Like, you remember last year going into the LA Rams game, Derrick Henry's just gone down, and there were literally conversations about bench everybody. Bench them all, take the loss, keep everyone healthy, just stuff like that kept coming up as the Titans continue to find ways to win despite all the injuries. It's not going to feel that different going into week 2 against Buffalo, especially with the Bills having an extra. I mean, you talk about like a mini bye week when you get to play Thursday night football. Well, it's like an extra mini bye week because you get that extra day of going from Thursday night to Monday night football.
Yeah, Titans fans just watching that game, Josh Allen looks like he's a robot out there just going through and people can't stop it. I couldn't stand, though, listening to Collinsworth and Tirico about
gushing.
All of that stuff. It was so annoying. I'm like, come on. Like, the guy threw a pick. Like, it was like after the second pick, which was clearly behind the open receiver.
First one was not.
Mike Tirico's like, I don't know if you noticed this, but both interceptions came to the slot receiver like it was not Josh Allen's fault. It was several yards behind the receiver, and they still could not say anything about it.
This Giants wide receiver core is intriguing to me for whatever reason. Kenny Golladay, and all the clips of him throughout the preseason. Wan'Dale Robinson, former Kentucky wide receiver. Sterling Shepard. I don't know. I'm just intrigued by what the Giants have on the outside and if Daniel Jones is capable of putting it together.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect just because the new coaching staff, is Daniel Jones good? Is the offensive line fixed for the Giants because they've flipped a lot of bodies out there? And then what do they, because they have athletes. Yeah, they've got a bunch of college guys that you recognize their names, Shepard and Robinson. Tennessee fans know those two guys pretty well. But does it all come together? And I think, the schedule comes out in the spring. You look at it. I thought getting the Giants in week 1 was the right time to get the Giants, because if you get them a month down the road, they start to figure themselves out and get more comfortable, where now you can maybe take advantage of them being in a new spot, not exactly knowing how everything's going to feel in a game day setting. And yeah, you have to deal with the element of surprise a little bit, but I think I'd rather have it this way than, in October, November.
Which week 1 matchup are you more interested in on Sunday? Is it Baker Mayfield and the Panthers hosting the Browns?
I don't care about that.
Or, okay, so you answered. Your answer is Bucks.
Those two teams, the drama's fun, but I could care less about the drama.
So your answer is Bucks at Cowboys.
Absolutely.
That's for the question
Especially
I was going to
because
ask.
A to Z Sports has both of those markets.
Yes. I'm intrigued by Patriots at Dolphins at noon on Sunday.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's who can be that team that in the AFC East to help pressure the Bills.
Yeah, because we have no idea. Be the first look at Tua Tagovailoa in a regular season game with Tyreek Hill at his disposal. That game is in Miami, and the Patriots are just this interesting case study this season of Matt Patricia / Joe Judge / question mark calling the plays on offense.
Right.
And Mac Jones going into year 2 with, I guess, Devontae Parker as wide receiver 1 against that Miami defense. Mike McDaniel's first game as the Dolphins head coach. I think that's the most intriguing week 1 matchup to me, just because of the unknowns. Like, I feel like I know what I'm going to get when I watch the Bucs and when I watch the Cowboys. It's going to be a good game. It's 2 contenders.
Raiders-Chargers?
Raiders-Chargers is interesting. Any game, though, involving the 49ers, I don't care who it's against, especially in the early part of the season, I'm going to be pulled to just because of Trey Lance and the wild card that he is at quarterback on a team that is built to be a Super Bowl contender. Now, they play the Bears in week 1.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Right. It's in Chicago. It's probably not what most people are going to be watching as they get ready to head to Nissan Stadium on Sunday. But still, early season Trey Lance, I'm very intrigued by, because I wonder how quickly we're going to have that question answered. Okay, is he good enough? Is he good enough to take the Niners where they feel like they are capable of going with the rest of that roster?
Yeah, I've seen some people, and everybody has their Super Bowl predictions and all that stuff. The people that are just automatically jumping on the Niners
it's crazy
before Trey Lance has done anything makes no sense to me.
Want to hear from you, your favorite week 1 NFL matchup, 615-737-1045. We'll wrap up the show and do the polls as well. Coming up next, it's the Buck Reising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
Don't let the uncomfortable conditions, the heat in Middle Tennessee, keep you from losing your cool. Don't let a broken down or older HVAC unit keep you from being comfortable in your home at the same time. Hey, it's Buck Reising, and I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. With over 20 years of experience serving all of southern Middle Tennessee, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself on their outstanding customer service. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions such as a free service call with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on their repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, as a locally owned company, is in the process of growing right
It's a football Friday, and it feels good. High school football tonight, 104.5 The Zone will be at Ravenwood High School. I've got a Brentwood alum next to me. We typically do Battle of the Woods. I don't know if we will this year, Austin Stanley, but Ravenwood hosting the Oakland Patriots tonight, looking to end a 33-game win streak by Oakland, back-to-back state champs.
I don't like either of those schools.
That's fair enough. Before we get to the polls, your number one college football week 2 matchup and NFL week 1 matchup.
Okay, so removing Tennessee Pitt. Yeah. I will go, just personally, Florida, Kentucky is what I am most interested in because it impacts Tennessee in both ways.
Yeah.
I don't care. We were talking some in the break. I do not care about Alabama and Texas.
Me neither.
Does not tickle me at all.
Like, what could we learn from that game?
I mean, if Texas comes out and plays a close game, then you learn something, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
Like, realistically, I don't think it's going to happen.
Like I said yesterday, I think I might be more intrigued by Vandy Wake Forest than Alabama Texas, just based on what I think is going to happen. And I don't think Vandy can beat Wake Forest, but I don't know. I'm intrigued.
How many points did they give up to Elon?
Like 31.
34.
So 30, 31. Yeah, Brett confirming 31.
Okay. That's not good.
So, no, that's not good. And Sam Hartman is back for Wake Forest. Pete Thamel of ESPN reported that earlier this week. But Mike Wright has been fun to watch, man. Vanderbilt quarterback. I believe he's the lead rusher in the SEC right now after the first 2 weeks.
Well, he's played 2 games. Everybody else played 1.
I don't care. Numbers still count.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
For me, I think you're right that Florida and Kentucky has much more of an impact on Tennessee, but I think South Carolina, Arkansas is the better game. And I think we could learn a lot more about those 2 schools with that game.
Yeah, South Carolina looked real bad because they needed 2 blocked punts to pull away from Georgia State.
Mm-hmm. They didn't look sharp. And this is a good test for Spencer Rattler against an Arkansas defense that honestly didn't play that well against Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati with a new quarterback and a ton of new pieces across the board after last year's playoff run, they missed some throws. I mean, they had some opportunities there to make that game go to overtime or win that game in Fayetteville, and they just weren't really clean enough on offense. So can Spencer Rattler kind of show us that he can be the guy that South Carolina can point to in the future, whether it's in the portal or in recruiting, and say, look what we did for him. We can do that for you.
Yeah, that's true. Another game outside the SEC, Baylor at BYU.
Late game, right?
Late, 9:15 Central Time.
Not even Pac-12 after dark.
BYU is favored by 3.
Well, Big 12 after
and
dark.
I think BYU has a few players missing. And so you want to get Baylor, top 10 team on the road at BYU as an underdog?
If you want to get weird late Saturday night, I think that's a good one. It's going to be a fun week, too. In the NFL, week 1, outside of the Titans, what is must-see TV for you on Sunday or Monday?
The Sunday night game. It's got to be the Sunday night game between the Bucs and the Cowboys. It's going to be too good. Too much firepower in Dallas. A lot of big lights and Tom Brady. So let's get it going.
Looking forward to seeing Russell Wilson go back to Seattle too. Monday Night Football.
There are a lot of good games. I will give you that. Packers-Vikings is interesting. Raiders-Chargers, same time as the Titans game, which is unfortunate for us too. But Steelers-Bengals is always a battle. So, yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Can you hear the Vols tomorrow afternoon? Vol Network coverage starts at noon right here on 104.5 The Zone. Bob Kessling, Pat Ryan, and the rest of the Vol Network crew. 12:30 start for Vol Network coverage tomorrow. High school football tonight. Mississippi State commit Chris Parson and the Ravenwood Raptors hosting the Oakland Patriots. Will Bowling and I will have that one for you, and we'll be live until 11 p.m. for Friday night finals, recapping all of the week 4 action. Brett, let's do some polls.
Hello, my name is Borat. There is a show in America called Buck Reising. I like very much. As a man named Lucas, like my producer, Azamat Bagatov, will update something called Final Pollings. I'm very excited, very excited. Do it, Lucas. La, 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 la.
Your first exposure to the polls.
The la la, it gets me every time. The very end.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can custom order any new Ford from Two Rivers, and they will deliver it when it gets manufactured. Are the Bills that good, or were the Rams that bad? 50-50 split.
I don't disagree.
What is the one thing you worry could lose the Titans the game on Sunday? Andrew submits a photo of Jerome Boger.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's gotten under the radar a little bit this week. Caleb says right tackle pass blocking on second and long play action pass after a negative or no gain run on first down, resulting in a sack fumble.
So Todd Downing, right? That's my answer.
Very specific sequence detailed by Caleb. He said like what happened against the Cardinals last season. George says the offensive line. Giants defense banged up and unknown, but Martindale, a smart defensive coordinator who can still give inexperienced linemen fits.
Yeah, I still like the Todd Downing situation. What happens? What's the script? Where do they come out? Who's going to be the go-to guy? Who's going to lead the team in receiving? All these questions that we have no idea what's going to happen.
Jordan says turnovers. First team offense didn't get any game reps together. I mean, it's week 1. If you're looking at the preseason, don't buy into that. But turnovers is obviously a point of conversation.
Yeah, the last 4 home week 1 losses, -7 in the turnover.
Yeah. Last one, 2010. Last time the Titans won a week 1 home matchup. Jeff Fisher was the head coach. Besides the Titans, what is the most intriguing week 1 NFL matchup? Tighten Up on Twitter says Saints-Falcons because we get to see Marcus Mariota.
And Jameis.
Oh, yes. And MVP candidate Jameis Winston.
So this is like the Titans-Bucks, but like again from when but now they're both on their new teams.
Oh, wow. That's a great point.
So in a week 1.
The first game of their careers was against each other when the Titans blew out the Bucks in week 1 on the road in Tampa Bay. I forgot about that. Steven says Colts versus Texans, AFC South showdown in week 1. Are the Texans a legit threat in the division this year? Are the Colts still feeling that Jaguars loss from last year, or are they a threat like the media says?
That was its own poll?
No, that was Steven's response.
I was about to say, okay, I was like, that's a lot there.
Yeah, he says Colts-Texans is his most intriguing week 1 matchup.
Can Davis Mills do something that's exciting? We played a game on our show the other day. Who's the best player on the Texans roster? There's not a lot of good options.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, right. That's the option.
It's got to be Brandon Cooks. They're really excited about Damian Pierce down there, the rookie running back out of Florida.
But Brandon Cooks is the best player on the roster.
Eric says Panthers, Browns, that Baker is going to torch Cleveland. I'm kind of with you on that. Like it'll be fun maybe to watch the beginning of it, but I mean Panthers aren't a playoff team. No. You know, Browns, they are what they are. They're without Deshaun Watson for 11 weeks.
Right.
That's all just off the field stuff.
Yes.
And then you're going to watch a few snaps and be like, oh, it's just football. You know, nothing. Baker's not going up and screaming in the face of Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
Tyler says Raiders Chargers interesting to me. Is LA ready to take the jump, or are they just off-season hype like usual?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people want the Chargers to win the division. The AFC West is the Chiefs' division until it's not. That's my rule.
Michael says Chiefs-Cardinals in week 1, which is a little intriguing. Cardinals are always good in the early part of the season. It's the first look at that Chiefs receiver core without Tyreek Hill.
And the Chiefs started off slow last year when they got off to the 3-4 start, which included a loss here. Yeah.
Most interesting week 2 matchup besides the Vols, if you're a Tennessee fan. Titans for Life says Alabama, Texas. We talked about that a little bit. Just don't know what we could learn. Underrated one. Zay says Iowa, Iowa State. Big rivalry game after Iowa's defense outscored its offense a week ago, and it wasn't because of a pick six.
Yeah, Iowa was saving its entire playbook for this rivalry game.
Just like Tennessee was against Ball State. That's right. Austin Stanley, thanks so much, man. It was fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
Enjoy the game on Sunday. Titans kick off at 3:25. Mike Mack, the rest of the Titans radio crew hit the air at 2. And, of course, the Lee Company countdown to kickoff begins at noon. We're going to get out of the way. Blaine and Mickey coming up next. Mike Vrabel coming up next. He's going to tell you who will not be playing against the New York Giants on Sunday, so stick around. It's the Buck Reising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
The Leagues Cup 2022 showcase is coming this September to Geodis Park. Nashville SC takes on Club America of Liga MX. It's an epic battle for league supremacy during the Leagues Cup 2022 showcase taking place right here in Nashville, Wednesday, September 21st at 8 p.m. The tickets are on sale now. All you have to do is go to NashvilleSC.com/Leagues Cup